expect ourselves to move forward as a country.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation. The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
We look at the utterances of leaders who are aligned to broad-based, who are initially in ODM. We thought they stand for something. Now they've been exposed.
Because we are a third world country, we are poor. And not because we don't have resources, but we have been robbed senseless.
Look at the wasteful expenditure. Look at how large government lives. And we've said this is something that can be controlled. It happens in many other countries.
Internally, we used to stand and tell you, boss, hii kitu ni mbaya. And you'd say, now he doesn't let me tell you. You saw the other parliamentary group meeting. People went there, sat, listened, looked at him. There was no plenary, left.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation. The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
SRC's mandate is constitutional. It's not an advice. It's actually something you must do.
Must do. Like now you abandon, of course, the narrative of wheelbarrow, Mutu wa Mjengo, Mama Mboga, and all those, that rosy narrative.
Your expenditure is 3.3 trillion, and you're collecting only 2.5. Out of that 2.5, you're spending 1.8 trillion to service loans and so forth.
That the CDF kit, it's itself a symptom of corruption.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Good morning, and I love your show.
Thank you.
Having come from a Kikuyu radio background, I migrated to Spice because of the content.
I was born in a slum, but somehow I got a break in life. So sometimes when you see the sweating coming out because of the passion and whatever it is, behind the noise, there are people. And we share the same umbilical cord.
It shouldn't be like that. I am so disappointed. We used to tell Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga that he's doing politics of conmanship. And even President Uhuru Kenyatta, serikali hii ndio iko na conmanship ya hali ya juu. You cannot promise people that you reduce tax, then you double.
In politics, there is the issue of trust. For you to turn around and then stab the same people who gave you that trust, there is no other level of dishonesty. Imabo, utaona dunia tu.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation. The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
Presidency is fairly interesting in the sense that it will actually take us to a new consciousness.
Swali zile watu waulizi, na swali muuliza na shangala, ni aje kwani, huku kunaendaje?
30 billion shillings annually on travel, alone in public service.
A Kenyan can even demonstrate every single day of his life that Ruto must go. That is the only message of his demonstration. That is his right.
That bribe blinds the eyes of the wise and subverts the cause of those who are in the right.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
He himself actually has admitted that he bribed members of parliament, so...
he admitted that he bribed members of parliament?
Well, when he said...
In the government.
Yeah, when he said that he gave the 10 million was for what?
We're always quick to point faults in somebody else before you look at your own faults as a person.
If it was Kanu's day, hii amuka naye leo, ungekuwa umeenda bali sana hii. So when we must celebrate you.
There are 600 million people now globally estimated to be living with diabetes in the world. So it is a major health problem. It's the largest single disease rising pandemic that we're dealing with right now.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
If we just gloss over issues and hope that time heals, then we might find that in generations to come, we might be back at the same situation. And the whole thing is born of stolen elections.
Spice.
When it comes to the decisions you make, you must be independent. There's no way you can allow one institution to dictate to you how you're going to conduct your operations, how you're going to decide cases. It's a no.
When you weaken the institution to the point where they cannot take action, then you realize that politicians have to come up and now start dealing with the issues.
That conversation has to die. Our politicians do not like the hard stuff. We must insist on the path of doing things right, whether popular or unpopular.
Money changes hands. That is a fact. If you have political goodwill at the highest top, like in Rwanda, then corruption will be an issue of the past. If you don't have political goodwill at the top, we will pass laws, we will amend laws, we will continue passing laws and re-amending laws, and nothing will happen.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
In this country, 6 families and 8,000 Kenyans control 90% of the GDP. We are not a country. We are a plantation. We work for Ruto.
When you're telling the judges court orders are papers or they will not obey court orders, they're sitting and you're seeking orders from them. So how are they supposed to interpret it? Isn't it an oxymoron?
When you see a judiciary that seems to be under some control somewhere, you start questioning. We have very powerful governors, but they don't use their offices to serve the people.
If you are not shameful to do what you are doing, why should we protect you?
I'm human. Everybody's human. So when you're told, kuja tuongee, I mean, you'd be a fool to say, staki kuongea today. Conversations have to be had, you know?
People in leadership should only go into leadership if they are ready and willing to change the lot of the people.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Okay. Okay, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Good.
It's good.
Good.
Salama asubuhi. Salam za asubuhi.
Salamu za asubuhi ziko njema nashukuru.
Okay.
Zako hali gani?
Mimi niko poa.
Happy to see you.
Happy to see you too.
That's purple.
This is purple. It
Royalty.
is. Kabisa.
Napenda.
Asante sana.
You know, one thing about clothing, right?
Yeah.
So you might buy the most expensive clothing that there is, yeah?
Yeah.
But if your body does not wear it well, it looks so shady. So the best way to compliment anyone whenever they wear anything is to say, you make that dress or that shirt look beautiful.
Where?
Because that shirt or that dress would never look beautiful without you wearing it, right? It just remains being on a hanger somewhere. On display. So when you wear it, it's when then
you bring out the beauty of it.
The beauty of it. So it is the person that you compliment, not the dress.
All right, Mr. Aseto, tunakuona. We see you.
Salam.
The Christmas tree is up. You know, now it's Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, ding dong merrily on high and joy to the world and such things.
I just wish there were lights.
Oh yeah.
The what? The tingling.
Is it twinkle little star? No, it's not. It's
that one.
The twinkling lights.
The twinkling light. Yeah.
Yeah. So now it's Christmas carols and things like that.
Yeah.
You know. Angels we have heard on high, sweetly singing o'er the plains, and the mountains in reply, echoing their joyous strains. Gloria in excelsis Deo. Gloria in excelsis Deo. It's actually Christmas. So whatever it is, you can
wait, let's do it the Kenyan way. Christmas, Christmas, everybody sing.
That's me.
That's Kenyan. That's Kenyan.
Okay. Thank you. Welcome
Christmas, Christmas, everybody sing. Ayo, it took me back.
Huh? Okay.
Yeah.
Sawa. Yeah. So I mean, I'm an Anglican, so of course the Christmas chorus, carols and the hymns are all coming into my head now. So everybody, good morning. And as we're getting into the festive season, again, I just want to say that in the moments where you celebrate, may you celebrate well, and may you be close to family, those you love and those who are loved by you. And in whatever way, no matter how small, may you enjoy the moments that come. And as you plan for a new season, may grace be yours always.
And we repeat again, in everything that you do, whether you're traveling, please remember to just be careful.
Yes.
It does not hurt to just take a second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds to just pause and let the other person go.
Just wait.
If you are a driver, don't overstretch yourself, because at the end of the day, you need that rest.
We'll keep talking about it. We'll keep reminding people. Unfortunately, one of the dailies has headlines about unfortunate, cases of accidents during this period. So we just hope that everybody can be safe. Karibuni-san, and welcome to the Situation Room. It's Kenya's biggest conversation on this Tuesday. Dennis Aseto and Okoh with you this morning, and glad to have you in the room. We can already see that you are gracing us with your presence. So thank you for doing that. And as we get into conversations today, thank you for joining us. EVE is twinkling from her head to her toes.
Yes.
So she's ready to get this thing moving. Good to see you, Christine. And Christine also is back. Christine, welcome back. That's all we're going to say for now. We will interrogate you later. And then I saw Joyline earlier struggling with a water container. But the struggle is real, my dear. When you weigh 3 kgs and you're trying to carry something that's 25 kgs, I don't know. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
I love you. In other words, good morning, everybody. And everybody who gets us the wheels turning, good to have you here as we do this today. We're going to have a couple of conversations today. Let me let you know what those will be. And technology is an amazing. I just thought about what I was doing yesterday. Technology is an amazing thing. So a childhood friend of mine, I told you his wife passed on. So yesterday was a service, what we call the service of songs. So that happened yesterday, and they're going to bury her today. But I felt like I was right there in the room with people that I know. And that's the technology is able to, and that's what technology does. Yeah. It doesn't just bring about new developments, but it connects the world.
It bridges the gap pretty much.
Absolutely. And I felt like I was right there. I saw people who have grown up, who I grew up with, people who my mother's, our family friends, and I just felt like I was sitting right there in the room. So that's the thing about technology. It's interesting. And if we make that connection between technology and the world, where the world is going, how are we able to use that technology? How are we able to use those things to develop ourselves? The first world conversation is one that has been brought up and reiterated time and again by the president. And we say some of these things in jest. We say some of these things and we ask ourselves, we scratch our heads and we ask the question, how exactly is this going to work? That's the conversation that we're going to have today. 2 professors will be here with us. One is Peter Kagwanja, the other is Alfred Amenya. We're going to be asking that question to get this first world thing, this place that we're trying to go to. Do we actually know what it means? Are we actually ready to make the sacrifice? Or are we actually ready to make the decisions that are necessary to get to first world? It's a place, it's a destination that we are aiming to get to. What does it actually mean? Are we just throwing words about? And we say that, yes, somebody can dream. Absolutely, you can dream. But to get to first world, what does it actually mean?
And I think also how you look at it is you look at the countries that have been quoted. So South Korea has been mentioned, Singapore
for
has
a
been
million
mentioned,
and 15th
right?
time.
So you look at both countries and what they did. They're completely different approaches that they did take.
Sure.
Even China took a different approach. So question is, having learned from all this, what is the Kenyan story? How are we getting there? I think that is where rubber meets the road.
That's it, absolutely. And so is a 5 trillion shilling infrastructure fund enough? Or do you need a little bit more in terms of muscle, blood, sinews to put the thing together? And what's to assure that this 5 trillion shilling fund that was launched yesterday now is that the first step? Is that what you need to have done first? Can you have first world operating in the same space where somebody gave an example yesterday where children are still going to school under a tree?
True.
Can you? Can you do that?
I mean, those are the questions. And then even while at that, how do you get the 5 trillion shillings when you are losing 3 billion shillings a day? So the gaps that do exist, how are we first dealing with the wastage of resources before we start saying that you're getting the 5 trillion? I mean, there's questions about.
This is not a castigating conversation. This is not an emotional one. This is a factual brick and mortar, how are you actually if you say this is what you want to do, that you can dare to dream and be idealistic about things, that's fantastic. True. I actually do think that it is great to dream, and it is great to say that we want to get there, but are you ready to do what it takes to actually get there? And that's what we'll be interrogating today. It is necessary for us to, because guess what, Kenyans, every shilling, every move, every breath, every action that you take in the next 1.5 years is going to be geared toward this. So are you ready to actually be part of that conversation in terms of what it takes and get on this dream caboose with everybody else? Or are we saying, let's handle some other things first? So that's the conversation that we'll have today with these two gentlemen. Again, Professor Peter Kagwanja, Professor Alfred Omenya. We'll talk about that from 7. And then we will talk with Joseph Muriah, who's the CEO of Central Careers, and Rose Okaya-Teye, who is also a CEO Private Schools Association. After Kujusea, what next? STEM selections and the readiness question. Because again, guess what, folks? Christmas might seem like it is years away. It's actually next week. And then guess what? The week after is the new year. And just 3-4 days after that, children will go back to school. Do we know what we're doing? Let's have these conversations today about preparedness. It is necessary for us to know what's going on. If you don't, this is where you want to be from 8:30 for us to know exactly what happens next. So let's prepare ourselves even as we do that. So those are the conversations that we have today, because it's necessary for us to do. Sawa. So now that you're in, don't leave the room. Don't even go for health break. No. You need to be here and let's have that conversation. Yes. Our proverbs this week are around issues. Yes. And all of them still come from the African continent, but we're focusing on issues.
Yes.
All right.
So today, it's still all matters to do with fairness, right? And the one who comes into equity must come with clean hands.
The one who
comes into equity must come with clean hands.
Yeah. Right. So if essentially for at the table we're equal partners.
Yes.
I cannot come solid. I have to, and even if I am stained in one way or another, I must tell you this. I have done this or this. I have this thing hanging over my head so that you are aware. But we must start to apply integrity in the things that we do.
Completely.
Especially when, not only when, and not exclusively when, but especially when that you're operating with somebody else.
Yes. Because it is only through that first instant, the first conversation, the first engagement, and how things were laid bare that you're able to move forward. Because then you know who you're dealing with, you know how to deal with the baggages that everyone comes with, and you're able then to put in place structures and the way forward, despite the heavy burdens that we carry into these engagements.
Yeah. So I love watching legal drama.
Yeah.
I love legal drama. And one of the things and it could be just in the movies, or in real life, where the lawyers will often tell their clients, tell me everything. Tell me the truth. You don't have to tell anybody else the truth, but tell me the truth so that I know how I can defend you. So two of us who are here on this thing, you tell me the truth so that I know how I can help you. So that's it. Come to me with everything, and then we can see how to help you. Well, it's interesting and see how we can apply that today, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right. You guys are tuned into the room, aren't you? Christine, Salimia Watubwana. You can't go away for 2 weeks and then you come back like that as though it's only goats. In my language, they say it's only goats who stands up and doesn't greet anybody when they're leaving the house. Christine, Salimia Watubwana. Say something so that people know that you're here, live and in the flesh. All right. We can see you tuning in the room. Are the live streams up? Yes. If you have typed a message there asking if the live streams are up, guess what? You're on the stream. I'm just telling you in case you're wondering. Good morning to our audience on KTN this morning, also for tuning in. As folks are getting out and about, thank you. Somebody sent a message yesterday on their way to Nakuru and listening to the Situation Room. Thank you so much for doing that. In and out, we keep it fresh. Robert Tumogo says good morning from Mombasa. Good morning to you too. Tunechi is saying good morning, Spice Fraternity, good morning as well. Peter Kiari is tuned in from Mombasa. You can't cook half the chicken for dinner and expect the other half to lay eggs for breakfast. Wow. Once you kill it, my friend.
Yeah.
Desmond Oti says, Ndu Achieng and D, good morning. Achieng says, I thought I was a Kinyi.
What time were you born?
What time was I born? I was born at 10:45 at night.
At night, so you are at Tieno.
Oh, really?
You should be at Tieno.
Okay, so people who are born at night are the...
At Tieno, yes.
La la, okay. Okay.
But for today we accept a change. So that's fine.
All right. Just keep reminding our fellow Kenyans to drive safely, to arrive safely. December is a jealous month. I'm telling you guys, and at every opportunity that we have to say it, we will say it. No more death on the roads. No more accidents. Tafadhalini. I've even spoken Kiswahili Sanifu for you. Please. Eunice Okello says, good morning, Team Spice. Good morning to you. Listening from Rongo, rain has resumed too late. Georgia Dimo, but we're happy that the rain is there and we're thankful for it. But the rain is pounding in certain parts of the country. So I know it's late, but what can we do with it? At least it's not dry. Senor George.
True.
Kisa Daniel says, good morning. Tuned in this morning. Victoria Mungeli says, good morning. Listening from Awasi, Kisumu County. Blessed day ahead to you as well. Excuse me. Boaz Naliana says, good morning. Tuned in from Kitale, Trans Nzoia. Good morning, Spice FM. The science of boxing is understanding to throw a punch when they can't hit you and you can hit them. Sindio, Tips Muge, good morning. Dance like a butterfly, sting like a bee.
Yeah.
And then when you dodge, you follow through with a punch.
Yeah, and
isn't it?
The best way to fight them is to camouflage. Behave like them. Before they know it, you strike.
You're striking. Yeah. That's it. Collins, good morning. Tuned in. Good morning, chums. Good morning to you, sir. Eric Orr says, good morning. Good morning, Eric. Christina, good morning. Good to see you. Leo says, tall.
Yes.
How does he know your name?
I don't know.
Okay. Roads shouldn't be PPPs, in my opinion. Excuse me, I have a frog in my throat. They should follow the Nairobi Superhighway model. Kome CJ and Kome IG. So the IG is no longer Kome, it's now Douglas Kanja.
Yes.
So just so that you should know that. And the EACC are seeking a ripe Christmas in finding traffic violation, but it won't solve the cause. This is the case. I have one, thank you. All right, I'll pick another one. Okay, so this is all coming from the CJ's announcement that they're going to deploy EACC officers to the roads during this festive season and are urging Kenyans not to give bribes if you're caught doing 1, 2, 3. Okay, good luck with that. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm not being a Debbie Downer. I'm just saying.
You know that they say.
Start somewhere, sour.
You see, a habit. Is created over time, right?
Yeah.
So one would hope that when you talk about traffic rules and obeying the same and not paying bribe, this would be something that is continuous on a daily basis, because over time then it becomes normal for Kenyans not to give bribes. It becomes normal for Kenyans to respect traffic rules. It becomes normal for officers not to ask bribe. So it can be that you only do this the 2 weeks Christmas.
It can't just be for the festive period.
No, it can't. It should be a constant. It is why when you go to these countries outside, right, there is a zebra crossing, and you'll find people wait.
Yes.
And people will cross the road at the zebra crossing because that is a habit they've created over time.
You're spot on.
We're just saying.
You're spot on. Absolutely. I mean, look, we're not saying it's a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing.
It's a good thing, do it, but don't expect that when everybody's off the roads that people are going to stop doing this. So it's got to be something that I would love to see, that those EACC officers and this cooperation remains even after the Christmas New Year period.
Yes.
Just a word of, advice.
Yeah, then we can also apply technology,
Exactly.
Cameras.
Such things, and actually have them working.
Yes.
You know that you don't have to pay KPL.
No, you don't.
They can be solar powered.
Solar powered.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Seriously, these things actually work, and they can. They're working in many African countries. It can actually be done. Work. It can be done. Yeah. So that's a good point, Leo. And Bwangi Juma says, it's a blessed Tuesday that the Lord has made. Let's rejoice, won't we? We will. Spice FM, do you see what I see? That's the Christmas hymn as well. Hear, smell, or touch any political goodwill this far? Well, there's political goodwill to do something. I don't know that it is the thing that you're looking for, but it's to do something. Good morning, Team Spice, and happy birthday month to us. Jennifer Atenya, you will not rest until this birthday comes, Abby. Make sure that we sing very well for you and properly. David Mangera says, good morning, Team Spice. Ndu, yes. What say you? Looking good in purple and black. Asante Sana. Black is beautiful and purple is royalty. Boom. Kabisa. Thank you so much. Eliza Njeri says, good morning, current affairs ambassadors. To us, you are our heroes. Thank you so much for tuning in every morning.
Yep.
Plant not trees, but knowledge, kabisa. Let's put it in. Because even as you plant that knowledge, you can actually get something to go and actually plant the trees.
Yeah.
Get the knowledge first. You're absolutely right.
You know, when you plant knowledge, you clearly know it's proper to maintain the trees, not cut them.
You would know. Exactly. So start with the knowledge. I love that, Njeri, actually. Dennis Maramba says, good morning, great people, and my daily cup of tea. Drink it. Drink it. Andrew Chira says, good morning, people. We are drinking nation and it calls for discipline. Please drink responsibly. I can't say that enough, actually. Yeah. That I've been in the company of a number of people who say, yeah, well, you know, I can get there. I'm barely seeing. I'm barely walking. But I will operate this vehicle and it'll take me home. The level of judgment decreases so significantly when you've had a few drinks. You don't want to be on the road. Guys, please, let this be the Christmas whereby we reduce the deaths on the road.
You know,
and if you can contribute to that by not drinking and driving, please do.
There's a story that I was watching yesterday around the festivities in, I think, one of the Asian countries. And there's this lady who was a teacher of English in one of the Asian countries. And on that night, her and her friend had gone out drinking and they took the electric scooter.
Yeah.
So as they were going home, they hit a gentleman who is a structural engineer and that person died. Guess what is happening now? She's been sentenced to around 25 years in prison because of using the scooter while drunk.
Sacre bleu.
Yeah. It happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does.
Just saying.
It does. It does.
The car never knows home.
Both. You can't rate the level of judgment that disappears.
Yes.
So please, if you can, or you can talk to somebody who can, please do. Paolo says there's nothing like first world. It's either developed or developing world. Exactly. I've said this before. So if you heard what the words that I said the president talks about the first world. It's developing or developed. There was a first world, for your information, Paolo, and that was in times before colonialism, where they spoke of the first world. But that's very different from our realities today. Kenneth Tom Omondi says Equity Bank sasa waweke maji ya kukunywa kwa entrance. Wapi? You are going to the, I don't understand.
Kuosha mkono
kwa bank. Okay, sawa. Beja, good morning. We see you. Tune into the Situation Room from the United Kingdom in Paddington. Asante sana. Good morning. John says, Ndu, bring on that Christmas carol one more time. I will do just now. Wait. Let me say hi to everybody first. Then we'll sing another one. Sindo, before we close it. Evan says, good morning, live from Rongo. Merry Christmas, tuned in from Gasharage. Good morning to you, Lawrence. Good morning, Spice, watching from Rongo. Evans, we see you. Sikunjama Nyote says, Roger's line. Gekota says, good morning, my good people, Princess Ndu, Dennis, and EVE. The journey to sink and pour, wow, has started with massive looting. Well, let's see. Cole Kema says, if Ndu was Kipsigis, she would be Chekemoy. Tuned in from Kericho. That's a beautiful name. I haven't heard it. Chekemoy. Or is it supposed to be Chepkemoy?
It's supposed to be Chepkemoy.
Oh, I like Chekemoy better. Anyway, maybe it doesn't mean anything. I don't know. It's been a beautiful year listening to the Situation Room. Thank you for keeping it locked every day that you do. I am Bank Kiprotich says, good morning, tuning from Lamu. Pertaining to warm water. Yes, something needs to happen to my throat. Buckle up on our way to Singapore. Well, let's have that conversation. We will do it. Robert Minor, good morning to you. Kenneth Jumba, good morning, everybody. And now we're in the Christmas spirit. Yeah. Okay, so now you're looking at me because you want me to sing.
It's not me.
Long time ago in Bethlehem, so the Holy Bible says, Mary's boy child, Jesus Christ, was born on Christmas Day. Hark now, hear the angels sing, a king was born today, and man will live forevermore because of Christmas Day. Bas.
Thank you.
Tomorrow we'll sing another one. Sawa.
Mm-hmm.
Good morning, everybody. Let's take a look into the headlines, and we'll start on the Bold newspaper. Kenya's Bold newspaper is The Standard. The front page of The Standard today, agencies of slavery. It's not a joke, guys. As police work to dismantle a suspected multinational crime ring trafficking Kenyans to Russia to fight in the war against Ukraine, witness statements and evidence we have reviewed point to two major entities and several individuals involved in selling their fellow countrymen into this deadly trap. You know, when the slave trade happened in Africa, that the white man, and I'm sorry if I'm going to use a politically incorrect statement, but the white man came, and it was not possible that they got into African territory without an African helping.
Yeah.
We see the same thing happening, that people who are selling Kenyans to go do work, fight on the front lines on the Russia-Ukraine war are Africans. It's happening again.
Sellouts.
Kabisa. Statements from 22 suspects arrested in Athi River on the 24th of September reveal how desperate job seekers were enticed by dubious agents with promises of better opportunities abroad, only to realize after their arrest that they had been lured into an unimaginable and perilous situation. There's a special place in hell where the thing burns hotter, that you take another man, woman, and you put them in the situation whereby their life gets just worse than it was when they came to special place in hell.
And guess what? If I was the person in leadership, you know they usually say tit for tat.
Yep.
Just take these guys and take them to Russia.
Okay, Dennis.
Let them go to the front line and experience it themselves.
Experience what you are sending people to do.
Exactly, you know. If you can't do it, why send someone else?
Exactly.
So you go experience
just because
them.
of money.
Come give us the report. I think that's fair.
The dailies have the subjects that we'll be talking about today. So we'll talk about that. Is this the kind of thing that we're talking about? Yes, it is. Senior school placement for pioneer learners begins. So the placement starts. This is the conversation that we have this morning. Sitting KCSE at 32, Nkatha finally graduates with a nursing diploma. That's an interesting story. Oburu is saying something about how the Ruto ODM alliance is set till 2027. So they've said it a million times. Okay. Until 2027, they're intact. After that, we'll talk about it later. Sawa.
Yep.
This story about the suspects naming recruiters behind the Kenya-Russia trafficking ring is on page 4 of the Standard. We'll get to the details of that. But buy yourself a copy of the Standard or look into the Standard e-paper. We're looking at a lot of money that was spent here for folks. Jirongo hosted hard-hitting political conversations on the YouTube channel. He did have that.
Yep.
Tata's plea for a larger bench in electoral cases gets the IEBC nod, that you need more people looking into this thing, that you cannot put the fate of an appeal just on that 7 people, that you need to have more eyes on the thing. IEBC seems to be agreeing with him. Tragic weekend as 18 die in 2 road accidents. This is what we're talking about. CCTV footage to be key evidence in Ojwang custody death trial. It's about time that the thing got underway, and they're saying that CCTV footage is one of the things that you're going to use, unless the thing was doctored. Pictures don't lie.
They don't.
So let's wait and see which one is going to be brought out. Nakuru residents storm public land allegedly grabbed by 2 developers. They're saying, no, watch, guys, we're not doing this. Counties absorb a paltry 2% of the development budget. This according to the COB. Now, where that sounds alarming, it would be interesting to ask the question that when did, if IFMIS is still a system that is operated by government, when did IFMIS actually open for this money to be released to counties? I'm sorry, oftentimes we blame counties and we say, you've only absorbed 2%. But when did you release the money to them? True. And how were they supposed to do these development projects when you've only released the money at a particular point in time? It must be asked, that question. It must be asked. Kakuma refugee integration plan triggers concerns among locals. Kakuma's been there for years. What's going to happen now? Ruto's 5 trillion shilling promise. That's another conversation that we'll be having from 7 a.m. this morning. Path to economic freedom, or is it a political stunt? We must ask that question. Because if you're saying you want to go from developing to developed, you have 5 trillion shillings that you want to start with. Are we going to see 5 trillion shillings in Kenya operating for development? If we are not, forget this thing, and then we say it's a political stunt. But let's talk about it, which we will at 7 this morning. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, let's go to the Daily Nation and the top story there, death on highways. So more people have been killed in road crashes this year compared to last year, with fears casualties will rise during the busy festive season towards the year end unless swift action is taken to restore sanity. So now the first aspect is deployment of mobile courts to punish rogue motorists and curb dangerous driving, and 2 extra road roadblocks to intensify vehicle and motorbike inspection, and a crackdown on motorbikes violating laws is the third aspect of it. And the fourth one, anti-graft officers along major highways to curb corruption, and standby ambulances for quick responses to distress calls, and 6 public to report violations through toll-free numbers 999 911 and 112. Now, step up road safety public education campaign. So what are the numbers? 4,682 people killed in 2025 so far.
Wow.
A 5% increase from 4,479 in 2024. 5,000 people. You know, learners open up on a change of senior school pathways. Now, review. Junior school graduates say their performance in exams whose results were released last week in informing their decisions to switch career choices. Officials say the students have a 2-week window to revise their selections ahead of grade 10 admissions next month.
Okay.
Yes, pathways. Wanabadilisha. And the last moments of Jirongo, veteran politician Cyrus Jirongo had dropped a friend at a Naivasha hotel shortly before he died in a road accident at Karai area on his way back to Nairobi, some minutes past 2 a.m. on Saturday, according to latest accounts. Now, an attendant at a patrol station, the former MP drove into minutes to the accident, also offered fresh details into the tragedy. That is on pages 7. Questions continue to be raised on the death of Jirongo. Time will tell exactly what the story is. And Trufena speaks out on tree hugging record strategy. And environmentalist Trufena Muthoni recounts how she conquered 72 hours of hugging a tree, earning the president's recognition. We saw the conversation, and she's big on preserving the environment, but at the same time addressing matters to do with the mental health. You know, I saw the president speak on that as well, and let's see how that will progress. And cabinet approves 5 trillion shillings sovereign and infrastructure fund for growth. There's a conversation we'll be having from 7 a.m. Divine Evil, a mission hospital's trail of fictitious claims and deaths. So the nation has obtained evidence that shows Justice's case is not isolated. In fact, it appears the money-making scheme was a clandestine side project where millions of shillings was pocketed from fraudulent claims. Okay. Yeah, our hospitals, eh?
Telling you.
And highways bloodbath, justice sector outlines ways to curb accidents. That is the story that we've just seen. And Ruto's dream of first world nation, that is on pages 6. And Rukumbarire revive Mount Kenya rivalry. Hey, Mount Kenya East politicians often complain of being sidelined by those from the West. So the rivalry has started again. Is mulima moja ama mulima imegawanyika katikati?
They're not the same people who just the other day were together here in Bere North. Then now they're fighting again. You see?
Wanasema Mount Kenya East and West iko shida.
Beg it, Joe. They should leave us alone.
Mulima iko shida. And the NEC dismisses claims of unpaid examiners amid marking dispute. So dismissed, but the ones who the examiner said they've not been paid. So what are you dismissing? So who's lying?
That's a good question.
Anyway, look at the star.
All right. At the top of the star, why Winnie Odinga is under scrutiny in ODM, as she should be. And perhaps they should scrutinize what she is saying and not her herself. Because she could be saying something that makes sense. I don't know. I'm just saying. That's what the headline says. This one might trigger you just a little bit. Big Gen Z lie. IEBC raises a red flag over voter apathy and mini poll show. And they're saying, you know what? You guys were here making noise, shouting, whatever. But then you did not come and register to vote. And then you did not vote. So there's voter apathy. It's not us. We've made it available. But where are you? That's the question that IEBC is asking today. Yeah. You've not come to vote. And it's interesting because there's a picture on the star of a lady who's voted. She's an elderly voter. She's not below 60 years old. And so the question is that we saw millions of people in the street. Why don't we see those millions registering? IEBC is asking. Looking at another headline on the Star today, when illness steals the light, seeking a hope for Quenta. Obviously, she has an vision issue, and it just, she represents very many people in the same situation. No evidence vaccines cause autism, according to a health agency. We know that has been the thing before, that some anti-vaxxers have said, you know what, these vaccines are causing autism, whether it's early onset, whether it's born with, or late onset autism. But now, health agency, specifically the World Health Organization, is saying that there's no evidence that connects the two. And so they're saying, you don't have any cause for concern. Of course, looking into the story of the big Gen Z lie is what it's being called here. Could we translate the protest into registration and votes? Dynastic dilemma. Why Ryla's daughter faces scrutiny in ODM. That story is carried in there. And costly tomatoes, onions to spoil Christmas soup. Looks like it's going to be expensive, especially with the rains.
Yep.
That we know that tomatoes and onions, interestingly enough, do well in the drier weather. So if the rains are coming, and if that may or may not damage what would be a harvest around this time, some of the things that we're looking at.
Guess what, Ndu?
Yes.
We know that's the situation, right? We have places in this country which is predominantly dry throughout the year, right? So what are we doing with that information in terms of irrigating places where these crops can do well to feed the country? Just asking.
Oh, okay, you're just asking. Okay, so
we have solutions, but
how often do we apply those solutions to some of these things? It wouldn't be a problem if we had all our ducks in a row, as it were. Okay, so can I look? So it was actually a story in The Nation that you had just given the headline to. And I wanted to, had read that earlier. And I wanted to talk about this because this is the situation on the ground. Divine evil. A mission hospital's trail of fictitious claims and death. I'm going to keep pointing to this developed world that we're trying to achieve. And we're going to give examples of things that are happening that would actually should need to be fixed in order for you to say that we're now getting enough points to get there. And this is one. In February this year, Justice, whose name of course was changed for this story, was admitted to the Sisto Mazzoldi Hospital in Nakuru County, where he underwent a thyroidectomy surgery at a cost of 134,000 shillings. The surgery was authorized by the Social Health Authority and the money was dispersed to the hospital. But just as thyroid is intact. Now, we must understand, anything octomy is a removal. You remove it. Appendectomy, hysterectomy, thyroidectomy is tunaitoa. So it's not possible that you had a thyroidectomy. Come a thyroid bado iko?
Iko hapo.
Thanks.
It is not a replacodectomy.
But thank you, please. The surgery was authorized and all of this was done. The truth is that surgery was never performed and he was never a patient at the Sisto Mazzoldi Hospital. In fact, at the time, Justice was an employee of the hospital. Unaona mali tunaenda sasa?
Yes.
Back in February, a colleague approached me, he quotes, and told me that employees were being asked to give details of their ID numbers so that they could be registered by SHA. I was told that claims were being made for surgical operations, which SHA paid for. Once the money is dispersed by SHA, the individual involved gets 50% of the cash. Hey, Jesus Christi. The person who approached me said that the management was aware, so declining could have put my job or position at risk. I had to comply. Remember that Justice is not his real name. After the pre-authorization code was sent, the hospital waited for its pot to fill with the fraudulent money. He went on to say the money was to come through the hospital account, then shared amongst the employees. Yani kama merry-go-round, chama. SHA paid the hospital. The person who had approached me received the money, but then never gave me my share. Unaona sasa vile huyu amechezwa huku.
Amechezwa town.
Where? The Nation has obtained evidence that shows Justice's case is not isolated. It appears the money-making scheme was a clandestine side project where millions of shillings was pocketed from fictitious claims for ghost patients and non-existent surgical procedures. That was happening when the National Health Insurance Fund, NHIF, was in place to the present day SHA. It hasn't changed. When I did ward rounds in the hospital, I noticed that the patients checked their phones before telling me their names. It's not funny. But in this case, we just have to laugh because what? The names were written in the messages sent to them by the people behind the fraudulent claims. Yani, so you, Daktari, then you come and ask me, unaitwa nani? I say, Ebungoja kidogo, Daktari. Me, naitwa Caroline. Okay, and then we move. Senor. The patients were given the names by other people. Mr. Amos Kiprop, a former radiographer at the Sisto Mazoldi Hospital, said. This is now somebody else who knows what was going on. Kiprop said that in one incident, a patient went to the hospital and did various tests. Later, while he reviewed the patient's file, he noticed that his name was similar to that of one of his colleagues. And I'm checking the thing and I'm seeing Evelyn Mungai. And I say, wait a minute. Evelyn Mungai? And the same height. 4'6", weighs, like that. They said, what? No, this cannot be. When I questioned the issue, I was told that it was not the same person. But later on, the sister in charge of the hospital admitted that they were using a staff member's insurance to assist another person. In another case, a video clip recorded undercover shows nursing officer Mr. Wycliffe Nyachuba handling the file of a patient who later turned out to be his colleague, Miss Milka Kwamboka. The colleague had been enlisted for a non-existent procedure. Once the claim was paid, Miss Kwamboka was due to receive a percentage of the money from the hospital. When contacted, Miss Kwamboka said that she could not recall signing as a patient to defraud the defunct NHIF. Of course you can't. Mr. Nyachuba, who has since left the hospital, and a former radiographer, Mr. Kiprop, reported the medley of fraud and unexplained maternal deaths at the hospital to the authorities several times. They said, we've told people that this thing is going on. Fed up with the cases of negligence, the two former employees took up the issue with the hospital's management. They also questioned why medication was being hidden in order to force expectant mothers to undergo cesarean sections and why emergency cases were not being referred. I'm just going to stop there before I throw up. Because these are the things that you're saying, you're telling me that in the next 10 years will be developed. This is the nonsense that's going on. And I'm telling you, if we're not ready to deal with corruption, if we're not ready to deal with these nonsense, bad manners, if we're not ready to deal with this mismanagement of crap, I'm sorry, where are we going? What are we doing? I'm not even blaming the president. I'm not even blaming the government. Look at what people are doing.
Well, look at what you're doing here.
Okay, in this case, you tell SHA, this is what we need. SHA, with the money that they have, they pay you. In this case, we're not even going to blame them. It is people. Look at what people are doing. Then you say, okay, you know what? What does it, thyroidectomy? In fact, let's even make it sound nice. We have a thyroidectomy, it's 134K. The guy's thyroid is still there, pumping, doing what it's supposed to do. 134K. And then now, on top of him saying that they're removing his thyroid, they didn't even give him his share of the money.
Share.
So you tell me, how many more cases of those things are happening, replicated around the country in how many other medical facilities?
The saddest part is you look at these two individuals who are speaking now, and the thing is they reported this on several occasions and no one ever took action. Yeah. So then begs the question, if this was reported, the authorities that are in charge of this, who received these complaints, why didn't they act? Are they part of the cartel?
Yes.
But then again, you also ask the question, so how much has the government of Kenya lost in this single hospital, and what are we doing about it? Because remember, this is a coverage by a media house, right?
Yes.
Does it mean that no action has been taken in these hospitals and the individuals who are concerned? Because we keep talking about ghost hospitals, ghost patients, but remember, it is an ecosystem. We have Kenyans who are part of that ecosystem. So as much as we keep on saying SHA is not working, remember, there are those of us who are participating in making sure that SHA is not working, because there's another person somewhere who needed that thyroidectomy, needed that money and never received it because someone somewhere took advantage of the system and stole. Like you keep saying, pesa huwa haipotei, pesa inachukuliwa. And this is one of the instances where pesa imechukuliwa. The individuals who are speaking now, the saddest part is, before the law, they are part and parcel of a crime.
Come on, man. You guys, we can do better.
I can do better.
Can you imagine? Like you said, Dennis, there's somebody somewhere that SHA would have actually given that money to. But now you guys have duped SHA and you've made them think that somebody's thyroid is going to be removed. Then this story comes out into the light later. Can you blame SHA? In this case, will you blame them? No. Somebody needed the money. That didn't happen. But somebody here has eaten the money and has gone scot-free. They've gone scot-free.
They've
gone scot-free.
You know,
we have a problem.
This is the instance where if anyone ever asks whether SHA is working, based off this story, SHA worked. It worked.
This one works, but then now it went to somebody's
But it was stolen. There's someone else who needed this service, was denied the opportunity, and that person will say, SHA is not working. We are our own problems.
I'm telling you.
We are our own enemies.
Remember the conversation that we had yesterday when people were calling in and we said, is it just the leaders? Is it possible that you can blame leaders and politicians over and over and over and over again? Can they be the sole reason why things have gone belly up? But no. Look at what people are doing.
Look at what people are doing. We are part and parcel of this ecosystem that is making things not work. So we will point fingers and say politicians. But what are we doing? Because even today, as we talk about the heavy deployment of officers on the roads to ensure that there is no corruption, who's playing part in that corruption? If you say no, that officer will just do their job.
Exactly.
We will not spend extra resources to take care of an adult who went through a driving school, crammed everything and passed, was given a license, only for them to go back and start bribing because they wanted to break traffic rules.
This is it.
If we all just decide to play by the rules, Kenya is a beautiful place to be in.
Do the right thing.
Exactly.
Look at another one now. People who is opening these companies?
Thank you.
Is it government who's opening these companies?
It is us.
Look at the people who are opening these companies and are duping people, telling them that they're going to get jobs in Eastern Europe, but they're actually going to fight on the front lines of a war that has nothing to do with them.
Yes.
And then they come back dead. Who is opening those companies?
It is us.
Come on, guys.
You know.
We can do better.
We can do better.
No. Look, there's times where government is to blame. There's times where they could do better. There are times, this one we are sharing.
No, this one we're sharing. This one we're sharing. Because do remember, even when we talk about money being lost, right? You find it is an individual who's gotten in with some fictitious tenders, some fictitious background, simply because they want to get share of that money. You remember, I saw the CS for water talking to this engineer in terms of, fine, you've been given 20 million. You are given extra 12 million shillings for you to deliver, but you look at the worth of, say, around 50-60 million shillings that this man has been given to deliver on a project, and he has done nothing, which begs the question. At that point, the government of Kenya has released the funds for that project to be done. An individual has decided not to do the job. Who do you blame at that time? It is us. We are part of the problem. And if this Singapore dream, if the developed status is to come to Kenya, remember Ndu, even this infrastructure fund that you're talking about that has been launched, it is our money. How are we protecting that? Or will we take advantage to get in with fictitious tenders to steal from the coffers?
Hapana.
We are part of the problem.
Absolutely. And I think, when we talk about responsibility, that there's a responsibility that can be taken. And in this case, there is a responsibility to do the right thing. And there's a thread from everything that we've mentioned this morning. Yes. When you're on the roads, whether you're in a vehicle, and we laugh, and when we say your drunk friend is driving, we're all laughing, ha, 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 ha. Then we get into an accident and we do, oh, it's fun. Nani alipeleka gari kama alikuwa meiva. No. We're on the roads doing that nonsense. You're opening a company that's duping people, taking their money, sending them to fight in a war. You are here duping the Social Health Authority, which is trying to put money in the hands of people who need proper medical care, and then it's in your pocket and you're very happy. Those are just 3 examples of things that we're talking about. And how do we expect that we're going to get there? It's all of us, man.
We have to fix us.
Come on. We have to fix us. That's the truth. That's the truth. At 7 a.m.
The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
Good morning. This is the News Wire. I'm Leah Obaga. An estimated 2.1 million people across 32 counties are facing heightened food and nutritional insecurity following the failure of the October-December short rains, deepening concerns over the country's worsening drought situation. According to government assessments, the underperformance of the short rains has significantly disrupted livelihoods, particularly in arid and semi-arid lands, while also spilling into traditionally food-secure regions. Counties most affected include Mandera, Wajir, Marsabit, Garissa, Turkana, Samburu, Isiolo and Baringo, with hotspot sub-counties such as Mandera North and South, Wajir East and West, North Hor, Dadaab, Turkana East and South, and Samburu North recording severe conditions. The Kenya Meteorological Department warns that the affected counties will require sustained human and livestock food assistance, nutritional support and health interventions for at least the next 6 months until harvests from the March-May long rains become available. Kiharu MP Ndindi Nyoro has strongly opposed the government's plan to establish a national infrastructure fund, accusing President William Ruto's administration of failing to explain how the 4 trillion shillings borrowed since 2022 was spent. Nyoro says before establishing another fund, the government should explain to Kenyans how the borrowed money has been spent and how the proposed new fund will be managed. The former ally of President Ruto added that grand development promises are meaningless at a time when basic services are receiving little funding, especially in the education and health sectors. Nyoro has continued to accuse President...
Before we talk about the launching of trillion shillings fund, I would request those who are in government to come first and face Kenyans and tell them what the government has done with the 4 trillion Kenya shillings that Kenya has borrowed in the last 3 years and 2 months. How do you tell Kenyans about $1 trillion plans or $1 trillion shillings plans when capitation is being cut? Every constituency would have been seeing 12 billion worth of development projects not being launched but finished and completed.
Nyoro has continued to accuse President Ruto's government of taking illegal loans outside the publicly known borrowing system.
The issue of promising all the time. I'm MP for Kiharu. If I call a Barasa in Kiharu and only sell what I want to do, what does that mean about what I have done? It means then I have nothing much to talk about in terms of what I have done. The money that is building the bombers of Kenya is also not part of this loan. It is another illegal loan. So we are asking a very fundamental question. The illegal loans are the ones we can see what they are doing.
A recent report by the Central Bank of Kenya submitted to the National Assembly Committee on Privatization shows that as of June this year, Kenya's debt was 12 trillion Kenya shillings, up from 8.5 trillion shillings in June 2022. Drivers who violate traffic laws will face immediate action on the roads this holiday season as the government takes steps to reduce the increase in road accidents across the country. The National Council for the Administration of Justice says several measures will be implemented, including the establishment of roadblocks, the deployment of officers from NTSA and EACC. Speaking in Nairobi, Chief Justice Martha Koome said the NCAJ has put in place measures that will curb these accidents, which have increased by 5% compared to the same period last year.
EACC, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, will deploy officers along major highways to monitor enforcement of traffic laws and deter corruption. We want to urge Kenyans not to pay any bribe whenever they are arrested for violating traffic laws and regulations. Moreover, there will be monitoring of human rights violations, because all this time at the center of everything is the protection of the dignity of the human being.
Koome also advised drivers to be careful on the roads and observe traffic laws.
So we must all work together to ensure the smooth movement of persons and goods across the country during the festive season and beyond. We urge Kenyans to observe traffic rules and regulations to avert loss of lives and injuries, and also to reduce and eliminate traffic congestion. Motorists are particularly advised against overspeeding, drunk driving, and overlapping during this season and beyond.
That's the news wire. I'm Lea Ubaga.
Spice FM, Nakuru.
If we just gloss over issues and hope that time heals, then we might find that in generations to come, we might be back at the same situation. And the whole thing is born of stolen elections.
Spice.
When it comes to the decisions you make, you must be independent. There's no way you can allow one institution to dictate to you how you're going to conduct your operations, how you're going to decide cases. It's a no.
When you weaken the institution to the point where they cannot take action, then you realize that politicians have to come up and now start dealing with the issues.
That conversation has to die. Our politicians do not like the hard stuff. We must insist on the path of doing things right, whether popular or unpopular.
Money changes hands. That is a fact. If you have political goodwill at the highest top, like in Rwanda, then corruption will be an issue of the past. If you don't have political goodwill at the top, we will pass laws, we will amend laws, we will continue passing laws and re-amending laws, and nothing will happen.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
We look at the utterances of leaders who are aligned to broad-based, who are initially in ODM. We thought they stand for something. Now they've been exposed.
Because we are a third world country, we are poor. And not because we don't have resources, but we have been robbed senseless.
Look at the wasteful expenditure. Look at how large government lives. And we've said this is something that can be controlled. It happens in many other countries.
Internally, we used to stand and tell you, boss, hii kitu ni mbaya. And you'd say, now he doesn't let me tell you, you saw the other parliamentary group meeting, people went there, sat, listened, looked at him, there was no plenary, left.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation. The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
SRC's mandate is constitutional. It's not an advice. It's actually something you must do.
Must do. Like now, you abandon, of course, the narrative of wheelbarrow, Mutuamjengo, Mamamboga, and all those, that narrative, that rosy narrative.
Your expenditure is 3.3 trillion, and you're collecting only 2.5. Out of that 2.5, you're spending 1.8 trillion to service loans and so forth.
That the CDF kit, it's in itself a symptom of corruption.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
It's 9 minutes after 7 o'clock. A very good morning to you and welcome to the Situation Room. It's Kenya's biggest conversation on this Tuesday, the 16th of December. And we know that you're going to be getting into those conversations where you say, well, this is what I did this year. This is what I've been able to achieve. I finally closed on this and I started to save towards the other thing. People are out there killing it, aren't they? And they're making sure that their existence is not just about living from day to day. And they're putting a little bit of something away for tomorrow. You don't have to worry about your plan for the future. You just need to start. You don't have to worry that folks are doing something and you're not. I see a lot of you out there killing it. Do you ever have that moment, that internal voice that says everyone else has a plan, but me, I really need to get my act together? The feeling of needing to get your future locked down is real. But listen, getting a plan doesn't need to be intimidating or elitist. That's why I'm talking about ICA Lion. They're cutting through the noise and making financial planning relatable. Whether you're starting out or looking to secure a comfortable retirement, they have plans to keep your wealth built and also to protect your assets and prosper with retirement security. Stop worrying about the future and start planning for it. Get the easy personal plan that works for you. The question is, what's your plan? Find out more at icealion.co.ke. Dennis Aseto, you're telling me that if I have 19 shillings in my pocket, I can be connected.
Yes, you can be connected to an hour of unlimited data bundles. You know, you've asked what the plan is. Plan is to have a life that fits your demands and requests, you know. So it is a life where you want to stream. You've just mentioned having attended that funeral service yesterday, and you know that is because you had a data bundle that was connected and was unlimited and was not buffering. That is important.
Yes.
But here, Airtel is telling you that 19 shillings, 1 hour. 45 shillings, 3 hours. How do you get it? Star 544 hash, or you go to your My Airtel app, or just walk to any Airtel shop close to you and buy the Airtel SIM card, and you are able to connect. So it is a question of maintaining the quality of your life, being part of conversations, and being in the room. Very important. You want to stream? You want to watch your movies? This is what you want to do. You want to attend class? Because today we have professors. It is important to have data bundles, you know, that will ensure that you're part of that class from the start to the end.
Indeed.
In next hour, we shall be telling you how you can win yourself 3,000 shilling courtesy of Airtel. What is your former moment? We shall get there in the next hour.
Indeed, we shall. All right, so let's look into that, and I'll tell you about a winning card and what you can do with that later on. But for now, I want to say a big welcome to both of our professors in the house this morning, because this one, it needs class. For real. This conversation, it needs class. It's taking me back to the days where I had to sit, and we need to actually have this one today. Professor Alfred Omenya is a policy and governance expert. He joins us this morning. Good morning, Prof.
Good morning.
You well?
Always a pleasure. Good morning.
Karibu sana.
Karibu sana.
Professor Peter Kagwanja is the CEO of the Africa Policy Institute and joins us here as well this morning. Good morning.
Morning, Do. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Thank you for being here this morning. So now we can't say Prof, because when we do, we're not quite sure who we are referring to. Okay, so we will figure it out along the way.
Prof A, Prof B.
Yes. Right. Or Prof O, Prof K.
Exactly. You know, so our proverbs this week, of course, you know, come from the African continent, but Dennis is doing something special this week, so I'd love to hear.
Yeah, so Prof O, Prof K, right? So the proverbs this entire week is focusing on fairness, especially in the continent, and what those who came up with them were thinking at the time. And I just want you to interpret them to us to take your stab on the same, right? So the one who comes into equity must come with clean hands. Prof K, how would you interpret it?
It's the same as when they say the Caesar's wife must be blameless,
above reproach.
Above reproach. It's simply that, because you cannot preach water and drink wine at the same time. Your hands must be clean when you are pronouncing certain things.
Yeah. Prof O, how would you interpret it?
Yeah, definitely. We've seen this, especially when controversial issues are being negotiated, when parties have different, radically different agendas. That is expected that those who now come to have a joint solution must be honest in their positions. They should not keep some cards behind them. And I think what comes to mind, and sadly so, is the DR Congo Rwanda situation, where parties came into equity, but did they come with clean hands? That's the question we're still asking ourselves
today.
That's the question,
yeah,
for sure. The conversation that we're having today is an interesting and why we felt that it was necessary to look at this in detail is because we've been throwing words around, but to actually say, if this is the journey, this is the destination, then what must the journey entail? I want to play something yesterday, or I want to play something now that was played yesterday. I'll just play it, and I hope we can actually hear it.
Their tax as a percentage of GDP
is at 34.8%. In Kenya, we are at 15, less than half what it is here. If we have to develop our country, Kenyans must roll up their sleeves and develop their country. Our country is not going to be developed by others. Our country is not going to be developed by aid. Our country is not going to be developed by debt. Our country is going to be developed by us. Japan is built by the Japanese using their own taxes. Kenya will be built by Kenya using our own revenues and our own taxes. That is a statement that we must tell each other. The one thing that I have committed myself to do is that we must then provide a guarantee that every Kenyan who pays for whatever service or pays whatever tax, that money should not be stolen by anybody.
So this was yesterday, and the president spoke about, a number of things that need to happen, especially with the launch of the infrastructure fund to the tune of 5 trillion shillings. Now, that doesn't mean that the money is actually in the pot just yet. It's supposed to come from certain places. But he is of the opinion that Kenya can actually, he keeps saying the word first world, but for purposes of development, we say the developed world, that Kenya must be in the developed world in a very short period of time. And he said that now, yesterday, that this must be done by Kenyans, that it will not be done by aid, it will not just be done by taxes, but that it will be done by Kenyans. Japanese developed Japan, the Chinese developed China. Kenyans must develop Kenya. And there has been a connection to Singapore more times than we can count. And this first world, which is the word that he uses often, is what Kenya is not just aspiring to, but that is where Kenya is going to reach. The journey there is not just picking up your satchel and walking. It seems to be that there's a lot of work that needs to be done to get there. Let's start with you, Professor Kagwanja. What does it actually take? Do we understand or do we realize what it takes to get there, or is it beyond just proclamations?
When God decided to create the world or the universe as we know it, he started by clarifying his thoughts, that the earth moves, the sun is still. And that clarity of thought was very, very, very important. When we in our lives as we are today, there are two kind of thinking or thoughts that guides what we do. The first is the utilitarian, there, out there, the end justifies the means. So whatever you say, you emphasize the means. The other one is to, you emphasize the ends. The other one is to emphasize the means, which is basically the logical way to do, because you cannot reach the end of the journey until you have walked the whole journey. And therefore, the best way of thinking is to take people through where they are first. Get us where we are and why we are there. And we have a very clear view of where we are and why we are there and why we have not been moving. Then you can take us through the steps that we need to take. For example, tell us what we have not done with Vision 2030, because it's about 3 years to go. Just tell us, why has Vision 2030 not worked, if it has not? Or to what extent has it worked? Then tell us what other vision you have as an alternative. Then we can start discussing the end. Because, it's not about the end. Because all the things that we're talking about are not new. How many countries have funds? Yeah, Norway has funds.
Yes, it does.
Singapore has funds, but it never started with funds. China has multiple funds. You cannot even count how many funds they have. Not only for themselves, but even for the rest of the world, like the Belt and Road Initiative is a fund, is an infrastructure fund. The question is, what do you want to do with the fund? So where is the roadmap? Where is the script? Right? Now, the problem we have had, and I've said this before, and let me start by saying, what the president is saying and doing, what the president is saying, if done, is what Kenya needs to do.
If done.
Yeah, if done.
Okay.
And two, if we stick if we change our course, so the president has realized that Kenya has everything that we need, that is needed to develop, and we have never developed because there are certain fundamentals that are not in place. And those are the fundamentals that perhaps we should be debating, not the end. Infrastructure fund, as I've said, is everywhere. Vision, we have one now, which is about to expire in 4 years. Now the question is, what is the postmortem of that particular process? The other thing is literally, when you change gear, tell people you have changed gear.
Yes.
Don't just take people, Vermeer. You just wake up and they're shocked. Yesterday we were talking about hustlers, which is the people at the bottom. Now we are talking about the grass tops. No longer grassroots. It's the grass tops. Because when you're talking about infrastructure fund, you're talking about sovereign funds and all these. This big talk, even for some economists, it is still sometimes difficult to differentiate between national investment fund, national infrastructure fund, national endowment fund, all those. You need to be a financial economist in order to understand those. So we have moved from the bottom up to now the top down. And this top down has one problem, and that's what we'll be talking about. It is not fundamentally based on our economy. Because our economy, the problem is that we shifted to mercantilism. We are buying tiles, buying clothes, establishing hotels to consume. Nobody is talking about production. Safaricom and a few other corporations are the main sources of our taxes, right? Which is basically a consumer. Our bundles, you were talking about bundles. This is what is sustaining this economy. Where is mwananchi wa kawaida in terms of production? So we are a consumer economy, not a production economy. Singapore is a production. Japan is a production. Every car ahead of you is Toyota. That's what they tell us. China is a production. So this is where the problem is, that we are beginning to walk. We are determined to walk, but we are walking with our heads.
Prof, when you talk about the 5 trillion Kenya shillings infrastructure bond that you talk about, so we talk of 5 trillion as being the funds that we need to catapult this country into the developed status. But if you just pause, Prof, and you look at how much taxes Kenyans have given to KRA, right, between 2022 and 2025, I was just doing that math, right? So 2022, 2023, 2.166 trillion, 2.407 trillion, 2.571 trillion, a total of 7.144 trillion shillings that Kenyans have given to KRA. And one then goes to ask the question, with 7.14 trillion shillings, what have we done with these funds today that anyone would just sit and say, we finally see this trillion of shillings in this road, in these hospitals, students have gone to school, healthcare is working. And one would say, it is not seen. So then goes to the next question. As we look forward to getting 5 trillion shillings through taxes, have we prepared policies? Have we prepared a way that we will manage these 5 trillion shillings? Because one would say, we are busy launching all these projects without a plan.
Yes, I think Prof has started us on the solid note. I would liken this with somebody who wants to drive a Mercedes-Benz, because Mercedes-Benz performs very well. But what they do is that they get that crown, the insignia, and then they put it on their tuk-tuk. and they tell the neighbors that they do have the Mercedes-Benz. The issue is that the Mercedes-Benz is actually the engine. That's the core.
Yes.
While wanting to be like Singapore, wanting to be first world and so on is a good thing, as Prof has already said. But we must ask ourselves, what is the core? What made these economies what they are today? And so that even if you're borrowing from Singapore, we're not just borrowing the badge and pasting on ourselves. We must ask ourselves, what is the fundamental? And without any fear of contradiction, I can say Singapore got where it got, not because of infrastructure.
No.
Singapore got where it got because of good governance, and projected over long periods of time. It was because of Lee Kuan Yew's zero tolerance to corruption, having systems in place, meritocracy, ensuring that the right people for the job were put in those places to under-delivered. And if you didn't deliver, of course, you're removed. If you're corrupt, then you're jailed, if not hanged. It started with governance. The Singapore story started with governance. And I would love when every time our president opens his mouth to speak about Singapore, that he should be speaking about corruption, that he should be speaking about good governance, that he should be speaking about meritocracy, that he should be speaking about, the death of tribalism and other factionalism and nepotism and so on. The current trend in this country is to put the most incompetent people from your communities to run things. And you can't even run a chicken farm like that. I do run a farm, and people from my village are not generally employed in that farm because they don't have the skills that are needed in that farm. But somehow we believe that these same people from the same village can then actually run the ministry that oversees all our operations. That is the blatant stupidity of Kenya's issues and dreams, as it actually were. Aseto here has spoken about huge amounts of money that the taxpayer gives to government every year. And government has nothing to show for it. And what basically we are saying is that we shall even get more money, then you shall see something. It is not true. It's biblical. If you cannot be trusted with a little, you really will not be trusted or expected to deliver with much. Right. And these are the things we must actually talk about. When we're talking about corruption costing us 3 billion, that is enough money. We don't even need to go to the markets. That is enough money to raise the 5 trillion.
Exactly. In a very short period of time.
In a very short period of time. We look at 1 point something trillion. Yeah. And this corruption only. We are not looking at government inefficiencies. Prof here will tell you, government typically spends double what we should be spending in the market on any project. Yeah, we work on projects, be it roads, be it a school or whatever it is. Government spends at least double. You just bring in efficiency in government expenditure and you eliminate corruption. We'll be able to raise, as you're saying, we'll be able to raise the 5 trillion in a year.
Right.
Easily. If we don't hit it, it'll be maybe 2.something trillion. Yeah. So the issue in Kenya, as far as I'm concerned, is not lack of money, really, including raising money. Raising the 5 trillion is not a problem at all. We have resources here in this country that if government goes to the market, that will be raised quite quickly. The issue that we have in this country, the problem that we have in this country, again, is what Prof had actually highlighted. I don't know how to categorize it. It's a special type of foolishness because you set out to go somewhere. You are in the wrong place and you don't even ask yourself where you are. You just get a new destination. Tell people, no. You see, we're going to Naivasha, but now that we find ourselves in a Mali, why don't we go to Namanga?
What was your plan?
Exactly. So, where are you going in the first instance? Yeah. And where we're going was really spelled out in Vision 2030 with systems and structures in place.
Yeah.
And we haven't reached there because we still have 3 years of that journey. Why aren't we taking stock and asking ourselves, where are we with this particular plan that we had? And we had other plans, not just Vision 2030. Again, as Prof is highlighting here, we rounded up an entire group of poor people and told them that we shall take them to heaven, that the heaven will belong to hustlers, the heaven belongs to hewers of woods and drawers of water, that heaven will belong to this, what the Marx would call lumpen proletariats.
Right.
And we're laughing on the other hand. We're saying, which economists are these ones who are telling you that you can actually drive an economy and cause change by using people who are basically in welfare, regardless of the political economy system that you're using. Whether you are using a socialist system, the poorest have never driven the economy. It's labor that drives the economy. If you use the capitalist system, it is the investor that drives the economy. And we're saying we need more fundamental conversations. The conversation is not just money. The conversations is, number one, what have we done with what we have received? Yes. Number two, we've had plans, and we have great plans. And we love those plans. In fact, at that point, we didn't have inferiority complex. We're not saying Vision 2030 want to be like Singapore. No, we just wanted to achieve some things that were good for us. And it made sense. We didn't have inferiority complex of saying, I want to be like my neighbor. Why do you want to be like your neighbor? Your neighbor is different from you. And there's a problem with African countries. We have inferiority complex at national levels. Why do you want to be like somebody else? There are good things in this continent, actually, that we need to preserve. Yes, of course, we can pick one or two references to say, yes, we want to be economically superior and so on. But on the other hand, we must actually, stick to our visions and our plans and of course, revise them. And when we give up also, again, as Prof has said, you come up to the people and tell them, look here, we think every plan that we had was foolish. We have figured out...
the drawing board.
No, we are not even going to the drawing board. We want now to be like our neighbors in Singapore. And even once you say that, then you must understand your neighbor. You come and say, our neighbor does 1, 2, 3, 4 things. Our neighbor did 1, 2, 3, 4 things. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4 things. But otherwise, this cherry picking is nonsense, honestly. It makes nonsense of good ideas.
Okay.
Because, again, as I wind up my train of thought on this particular matter, let me wind up there, because the question you're asking, infrastructure for what? And this politicized infrastructure will not get us at Singapore. It will give us white elephants.
Because that's the thing when we talk about the infrastructure. Because what are we saying when we say infrastructure? We're talking about what they would say the dams. There are 1,000. I don't know how many that are going to be supposedly done by a certain period of time. We're talking about the road network, which they've said is going to be 28,000 kilometers of road.
It's about the length of the roads,
right?
Rather than what the roads
do. Length as opposed to what they do.
Exactly.
That roads will then connect people and places, and that roads will now then bring product from farm to market, which essentially is what we are saying, Prof, that builds an economy.
Correct.
That I'm hard pressed, and maybe you can prove it otherwise, that there is no economy in the developed space today that has not exported at profit in order to become developed.
Yes.
Am I wrong?
Exactly.
That
is key.
You are right. And I think I'll take from where Professor Menya has started, has stopped. Because it's this country is endowed.
Correct.
In many ways.
Correct.
We don't have to lament. We don't have to look at our neighbors or what they are dressing in. And we're beginning to get this youth mentality that I want to go to America because America is over-advertised.
Correct.
And when you get there, the fundamental question is, at what level of American society do I want to enter?
Correct.
So if you want to enter at the level of elite, then you educate yourself at home.
Correct.
So that when you go to America, you plug yourself at the relevant social structure, that you don't go to clean toilets and clean other things. You go straight to a bank and work and start sending remittances home. Here, the fundamental problem we have is one. We have 2027 coming. And face it. Face it. This is simply a repackaging of the Hasra dynasty thing, because that one will not work. Why? Because that one was meant for Mount Kenya, where we have historical divides between the Tungatis and the traitors. So in order to get that block of vote, you needed a very polarizing kind of ideology. Now that is gone. Now you need an alternative ideology that creates what you call mirage into the future. But the mirage are based on reality. Let's be clear. If you're talking about a political genius in this country, political genius, I'm not talking about, I'm not at the level of leadership. I'm talking about politics, raw politics, as we know it. There is no better thinker than our president.
Current president, correct.
He's, I mean, in terms of political capacity, political thinking, there is nobody who can match him here.
Right. True.
Yeah, you need to import. Okay.
Manufacture
if you can. But he is in his own class. And in terms of oratory, I think the only Marcus Aurelius, the Roman senator, would floor him.
Oh, yes.
I don't see anybody else flooring him. Even in the history of rhetoric.
Yes.
And therefore, this, and I'm sure that's why his chicken was selling.
Oh, those ones. Okay.
Those days, and that's why he sold his way, his chicken, his way into the presidency by selling chicken. How many people are selling chicken and they're not president? It's because you can talk your way into selling chicken, you become one.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to ridicule, because this is a very serious matter about our nation. And we must learn to tell our people the truth. True. And the truth is the only one that will save us. We have failed to deliver to the hustlers.
Correct.
Let's admit that, and we put it down there. And since we are Christians who know souls can become Pauls, they will forgive. Then we move on. We say, now we want to try the bigger money, the top down, because the bottom up has failed.
But I'm sorry, Prof.
Yes.
I would need to interject with this question, because you have to look at intent in these things. When you talk about failure, was there an intention, a pure intention, to actually lift the hustlers out of this supposed poverty? Because if there was, then you would say, where did we go wrong in the last 2.5 years that did not allow these hustlers to rise out of poverty? Now, rather than abandoning that ship over there, the Imali Namanga situation, since we were going to Imali and wherever we were going, Naivasha, we find ourselves in Imali. Rather than trying to reroute to find our way back towards Naivasha, we decide to pick up something else. So is there an intent to actually have this done? Because guess what? If there's no intent, even this way, first world place you're supposedly going to, which I prefer to use the developed space.
Yes. That's why I was talking about.
Can you actually then say that, okay, well, we're going to pick up something else along the way? You dump this because it's not working. It's like the 17-year-old boy who's dumped this girl because, her hair is the wrong color. Another one's got a bout of acne. So you dump her and get to the next one. And then you're going nowhere by the time you're 18. This is the thing.
I think that's why I started by talking about our president being a political genius. And he's a political genius because he can sell anything.
Correct.
Including things that are not supposed to be bought. For example, nobody ever needed to buy the Hasra thing from pure economics. True. If you are a serious scholar of political economy, then you would not even have touched that thing. Why? Because you want to lift people from poverty.
Exactly.
Then the thing you tell us is, what are they going to produce?
Correct.
So that they will have money in their pockets, and therefore they will be able to grow the economy. So the fundamentals of economic thought were lacking. Now here, in this second one, it has two forms of lies in it, which we must unmask. The first lie is that infrastructure can develop a country or can transform Kenya into a Singapore. It can't, because it is structure from what to where. Just go to the basics of colonialism. And the colonialists were frank. Yes. They said the railway line is Uganda railway because they were moving from Mombasa to tap the resources of Uganda. Kenya developed by mistake. Is what they call development by contradiction. And this is what Walter Rodney will tell us so.
Yes.
Now, the Germans were even more frank. They would call their railway by groundnut railway, gold line, the Tiba line, because they were going to get that. Because infrastructure is about what we're developing.
Correct.
President William Ruto did not need to go in such a sophisticated, or is it sophisticated or esoteric? Esoteric manner. He didn't just go to the ground. I can see him being elected.
Yeah.
On the basis of the deals he has already clinched.
Yeah.
That's what he needs to tell Kenyans.
Yeah.
That he is in a position now, with no contradiction and no fear, that to bring the railway from Naivasha to Maraba.
Yeah.
How many presidents have done that in their country? Yeah. He will definitely, by the time he leaves office, build the road from Lironi to to at least Mau Summit,
Yes.
and he will have started the path to Eldoret and back to Maraba.
Correct.
I am sure the Nether Bridge will be completed.
Right.
I am definitely sure that the road from the Mudaiga there to going towards Duberi, at
Yes.
least it will be there.
Right.
Therefore, he will have more to show
Right.
than Ibed Kibaki. And tell you what, if he wants to do an expressway from Nairobi to Thika, he'll do it. Why? Because the model has already been set.
Correct.
We are not going for loans.
Correct. True.
We are going for investments.
Yes.
And there are people out there who are keen to invest.
Correct.
The Chinese have already committed through the what we call the Beijing Plan of Action to give Kenya money to complete this project.
But it's not going to develop Kenya.
No, that we are
Yes.
we are talking about we are talking about
re-election and
now,
taking boxes.
so part of the project I have on my docket, the one that I am working on in my office, is to ask, when the railway is completed from Mombasa to Maraba, what is it going to carry?
Yes. Exactly.
This is the question we're asking. And therefore, we are beginning to think about the hubs.
Correct.
This hub, that hub, that hub, which will now feed the railway. Look at Naivasha. Naivasha is now beginning to feed the railway with avocados and vegetables.
Right.
So now we are talking about refrigerating so that things can reach Mombasa or the destination easily. So the debate is not about funds.
Correct.
It's about the products.
Correct.
It is not about the infrastructure. It is it's about what it's going to carry.
Do. Exactly.
What is it going to transport?
Correct.
And because our economy will grow not on imports, but on exports.
Correct.
So what are we going to export?
Correct.
So what we have now, and I say this and conclude, is an advertisement. Is government by advertisement.
Right.
And government by advertisement is dishonest to Kenyans. It's very untruth. And at our age, we must run to speak the truth. Because lies don't last. Exactly. What lasts are truth.
Okay, so if it's an advertisement, usually the folks who are doing the advertising don't actually clinch the home run until somebody goes into the store and purchases. Right? So this doesn't look like it looks like it's another thing that's being said. The infrastructure will be done, but then what needs to happen? And I think that's if we can't see as people what needs to happen in order for this development to take place, this exportation that we talk about, there's an entire ministry. It's the one with a very long name. MITI, exactly. That is supposed to be handling some of these things. There was supposed to be $1 million investment funds whereby you were bringing in people from externally to come and invest in the country through things like KIPES and industrial parks. The PSs on that docket have been changed more times than are closed in a week.
Correct.
So how then do we say we're going to actually get a product or 2 or 3 that you send out of the country? I read something the other day. The largest exporter of matchsticks, the ones that matchsticks is Saudi Arabia. Matchsticks. People around the world are buying matchsticks, but that money is going directly back to Saudi Arabia.
Exactly.
Until you do something like that.
Exactly.
How will you say you're developing?
But this is picking up from where Prof has left it. The other thing that you see, I mean, instead of selling us this shiny stuff, why not take a step back and ask, really, from a very honest point of view, that what did you want to do for your people and what did you want to do for your country? Honestly, in a very simple way, if my people, if say I was a president, if my people had a little bit more money in their pockets, if the quality of their life was better, if their income was increasing, every year, if they could afford better healthcare, better education, and so on, then in fact we'll be getting somewhere. And these things are not glamorous. They require work. If these places we are talking about, if real employment would be created in sectors that we know Kenya is largely agricultural, and we're saying, fine, what are the actual jobs in agriculture? It's just been people working in farms, but we're saying, can we complete those value chains here, so that when I go to the supermarket in Nairobi today, I don't buy sugar from Kakira,
right?
These basic things that we're talking about. And those are saying that we don't actually need, I believe, as Kenya now, We don't need a glamorous dream. In this sense, and again, Prof has spoken to it, I'm quite convinced that the president has what it takes to win the next elections, going by his own political acumen. And what we're saying is that, can we actually get some real serious job done? And we see an actual change in these particular sectors. And we're not saying that it solves everything. We are saying, for example, that, look here, our agriculture was at a particular level. Can we see some consistency? Can we see the sugar industry, changed? Can we see our coffee? We don't have to import Nescafe. And he speaks about these things, actually. That's why I was talking about esoteric and eclectic. Can we actually see a situation where our own product here competes with Nescafe in the global space? What are we doing on tea? What are we doing in the north? In terms of livestock and so on, and you're right, Ndu. We do have all manner of corporations to deal with these issues. But remember, any organization you run, the tone is set, the focus is done by the CEO. It is not the departments. You can create as many damn departments as you want. They will never make a bank. If you have a good CEO running the bank, is the one that would then guide these departments so that they could actually make that bigger impact. You cannot just come and say, I've got a good guy in supplies, I've got a good guy, and everybody's doing their own thing, and then you hope to get something together. And this message is to Mr. President. We love you very much. We know even some of those things that you speak have some bits of truth exactly where. But the issue is very simple. Can we get a coherent vision? Can we take stock of where we are as a country? And you still have time. Can we be able, to move the country in a more coherent way, into this future? That's the only way that we'll get into Singapore. Rhetoric is okay. We know you'll speak and you'll say wonderful things, and people will actually cheer. But on the other hand, it is not too much to ask that can we be able to deal with some of these really basic things so that you don't import fish in Kisumu. You don't eat fish from China in Kisumu. The fish factories in Kisumu, 20 of them have closed in the last 10 years. And we're saying, can we get those back running? You went to the sugar belt. Can we get the sugar factories working again so that the farmers can operate, so that the schools that were in those places can actually function? Can we get Sisal that was in Taita Taveta and all this back? Surely, and as Professor alluded here, Kenya was basically an exporter when the colonialists came here. And we are exporting all manner of things. We are exporting timber, we are exporting sisal, that's how this area started producing what they're producing. That 100 years ago, semi-illiterate colonialists who didn't even love us were able to actually be net exporters. We are saying, Mr. President, is it too much to ask that the country can then produce, can process, and become net exporters? We're not even talking about AI, we're not even talking about vehicles, we're not talking about those things. We're just talking about things that grow on the soil. And then after that, we can move to the next level move to the next level.
Let's look at Vision 2030, right? So if you look at Vision 2030, there are three critical pillars that were guiding it. So we have the economic pillar, social and political pillars. And below that now there are other pillars under those major pillars that then guide the same. So we have infrastructure development, land reforms, public sector reforms and security, human resource development, science, technology and innovation. And if you look at the bottom tier policy that was then feeding into the bigger pillars, you would see a structured way on what exactly we wanted to achieve. So here we are, SGR is here, and one, like we've asked the question, to do what? What is it doing for us to say it is making sense? Because there has been conversation that, fine, we have the SGR, it is pretty, it is beautiful, it is fairing people, but was that the core responsibility of SGR? What is it fairing outside the country to the rest of the world for it to make economic sense and the billions of shillings that Kenyans spent on it? Fine, we will stretch it all the way to Busia. What is it bringing into the country or outside the country for Kenyans to say it is making sense? Rironi Mau Summit. What are we transporting on that road for it to make economic sense? White elephants are reality. But with all these conversations that we are having, I'm sorry to say, but there is no clear plan or clear explanation on what all this infrastructure is coming to do for Kenyans.
Dennis, you know, even on infrastructure, it is very... We do have different types of infrastructure, and they're clear.
Yes.
They're very, very clear. We have economic infrastructure, and we have social infrastructure.
Yes.
Economic infrastructure is infrastructure that results directly into economic productivity, be it you know, getting raw materials into farms, implements, and so on, or be it you know, getting logistics, getting this into the market, you know, supporting the factories and industries and so on. It's very, very clear. And then we have social infrastructure where we're saying, no. These are things that our people just need.
Yes.
We know they will not result in significant economic impact, but they're saying, yeah, we sort of need to open up this area socially, not even economically, so that the people can actually be included. And to me, this is an issue that what Kenya is actually talking about, and what the president is purportedly talking about, should be economic infrastructure. And what we should be hearing is not the infrastructure per se. It is what economies is this infrastructure going to help us achieve? Will it help you know, increase production of sugar? Will it you know, sort out logistics? Will it connect us to new markets? What exactly is this infrastructure doing?
That's where I thought you lost a very, very important thread.
Yes.
And you had started on it. I would not talk about infrastructure in terms of economic development.
Yes.
Because economic development and the concept of economy has multiple synonyms
Exactly.
you can use.
That is true.
You know, when you talk about infrastructure, the most important infrastructure is what you're calling the social infrastructure.
Right.
And the social infrastructure is what our founding fathers would define as nation building.
Right.
Because there is a Kikuyu or a Luo and a Kenyan can be two different people depending on where you are sitting. That this is a Kenyan and this is a Kikuyu. Because I think like and I act like the one. But this one acts like a Kenyan and therefore is a Kenyan. So because it's in our mind. Now, our nation and its future must be clearly in our minds.
Correct.
And that is the infrastructure we need. We need that infrastructure that tells me that I love my brother, don't I? I love my sister, don't I? But they don't fit to be deputy presidents. They don't fit to be in the cabinet. They don't fit to be even teachers in high school. They're my sisters, they're my brothers.
But they're not qualified for that.
But they're not qualified for that. I should be able to make that judgment. Because what Lee Kuan Yew did to transform an island into a superpower now, and we are putting it in even in our documents now, is simply the social and psychological infrastructure, mental infrastructure. When you see potholes on the roads, don't think about those potholes you are going over on the road. Think about the potholes in our minds. Because those are the more dangerous potholes we have. Now, the potholes we have that should make us develop our infrastructure are the potholes of corruption. The potholes that we should be concerned about are the potholes of inability to think in a meritocracy way. That you need this in order to develop this. Because these are public offices. Put the best and our ablest in those places, because that is what Lee Kuan Yew did. So when you are borrowing Singapore, don't borrow only their infrastructure as you see it now. Because this is a manifestation of serious work done. And the serious work was Lee Kuan Yew teaching his people that spending your sweat, or rather from your sweat, or living from your sweat, is what makes you a grown-up. And that's why today in Africa, the most famous person, if you look at us, is Captain Traoré of Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso is a landlocked country, somewhere in the middle of the Sahara almost. Why has it become the model of Africa? Because the leadership from Sankara to Traoré emphasized the mental infrastructure, not the physical that you are going to tell us 100 kilometers, 12 kilometers. Kenya is not about kilometers. Because even if you tarmac the whole country, what would that mean for us?
Correct.
And you see, Prof, when you just speak about Burkina Faso, I was watching a documentary the other day on how the mental infrastructure has been fixed so much that the people themselves wake up every day. You have a company that is producing ballast. You donate that, you make cabros, and you give that to the country and even go lay them themselves, because at the end of the day, a better looking infrastructure that is working will be able to feed into the farms that they have to bring to the market. Today, as we speak, Burkina Faso that you say is landlocked is pretty much feeding better part of the neighbor because of value addition on their tomatoes that they are now shipping.
Because they asked the fundamental question, Prof. They asked the fundamental question. What Sankara asked did not... why don't we have roads? Why don't we have... That's the question he asked. He asked, who are we?
And remember, the thing is that, and we need to disabuse ourselves of this fallacy.
Yes.
We can build as many roads as we want. But then, if you're building it so that we can be like Singapore will be building other roads.
Yes.
So by the time we finish building our roads, our roads will be looking like a joke. And then we start building more roads and more roads and more roads. And again, as Prof is saying here, I always like Thika Road as an example, because I drive there quite often. And what I always love about Thika Road is not the Thika Road itself. It normally looks like a parking. It is a traffic jam that I always see on Thika Road. And every time I pass by Thika Road, I'm always driving sort of on the other side.
The other side.
In the morning, I drive away from the city.
Traffic,
In the evening, so I see these guys, and they're like animals in a zoo. They're a spectacle. And I'm like, what happened to this country? That they can actually create such a large traffic jam that lasts for many hours, involving very productive people. So I sympathize with them. So going back to Prof's point, the issue here is not the infrastructure. It is what the damn infrastructure does. You're meant to solve a transport problem. What you need is actually efficient transport. A road might be one of the ways of solving it, but might even be a problem. And you kept saying there that what we need we needed around the city and even around Thika Road was efficient public transport.
Yes,
public transport, not a bigger road. So even this infrastructure talk that we're talking about, what you should be asking, Mau Summit Rironi, we can do their 10-lane road, and it might just be a 10-lane traffic jam. We should be asking ourselves, what problem are we actually solving? And the problem for me is a public transport problem and a logistic problem. And we have to be very careful about, not just the infrastructure, but there are also software issues that we're dealing with here, that's also transport. Let me give you an example of how hustlers attempted to solve our transport problem. And it's a very simple mathematical example. We're saying, look here, if you do a train in the city, you'll be able to carry 10,000 people at a go.
Okay.
But then the hustlers said, no. The train might be the French and whatever it is, and we can't make money from it. So we are going to do rapid bus transport. I said, yeah, nice. Now, instead of carrying 10,000 people, you'll be carrying 80. 80 is still okay. That is quite brilliant. From 100,000, but we can live with it. A few roads were painted, and we were about to celebrate 80. Then bottom ups came.
Yes.
And we said, no, now we shall actually promote the border person. And we shall be giving borders in State House. You go to State House and you're given border as a solution to public transport. So from 10,000, now we are carrying one person. Ideally, okay, they carry two, whom they kill, because they don't wear any protective gear or anything like that. So we've come from 10,000 to one, and we don't even see a problem with it. In fact, we're still proceeding with the same things in State House. My point is that we need to apply our minds a little bit better. And this country does not have mentally retarded people. The average Kenyan is okay. The people can actually think. But sometimes the ridiculousness and the ridiculous solutions that we see from the political class makes it appear like we are in a country where people really do not have brains at all. So these are the issues. And I was using that as an illustration. You're the same person building highways, and then on the other hand, you're promoting border borders. Really?
So which one is
what problem are you solving?
There's some development whiplash that's happening there.
We need to solve this public transport. You need to be truthful to these people that if you're to solve the transport and logistics problem for our people, dump your border now. Really, dump your border now and maybe become a train driver or maybe become a bus driver. That's how you'll survive. Or go and do something else. Drive trucks because we're going to get into
manufacturing.
There's a highway going to Malaba. I'd like us to take a break for the news. We'll come back and continue this conversation. It's important that we do for us to really understand what this vision looks like, because then the involvement of people then allows you to say, hang on a minute, we're all in concert that this needs to move in a different direction. It's 8 o'clock. Professors Kagwanja and Momanyi are here with us this morning. This conversation continues when we're back from this. Don't go away.
Good morning. This is the News Wire. I'm Leah Ubaga. HIV services have received the highest allocation in Kenya's new health cooperation framework with the US. The $208 billion agreement over 5 years also suggests that HIV services may be absorbed into the National Social Health Authority through reimbursements to facilities. A Kenyan court, however, on Thursday temporarily halted implementation of the landmark health aid deal over data privacy concerns. It follows a case filed by a consumer rights lobby seeking to stop the alleged transfer and sharing of Kenyans' personal data under the agreement. Many Kenyans have raised concerns the deal could allow the US to view personal medical records such as their HIV status, TB treatment history, and vaccination data. The next hearing will be on February 12th next year. The agreement shows the US will spend 1.84 billion shillings on HIV laboratory commodities and 7.44 billion shillings on HIV treatment and related commodities next year. The next biggest allocation is global health security to support Kenya in preventing, detecting and responding to infectious disease threats, which will take 64.3 million Kenya shillings, and TB will take 24.9 million Kenya shillings. The Independent Policing Oversight Authority has begun investigations into the mysterious circumstances surrounding the death of a bodaboda rider, Jack Leon Matoke, while in police custody at Kawangware Police Post. Matoke, recorded as 23 years old, died on Thursday last week at around 7 p.m. and his lifeless body was later discovered at the city mortuary just 4 hours after his detention. In a statement, IPOA noted that Matoke has been detained at the police post pending transfer. I'll take it again. IPOA noted that Matoke had been detained at the police post pending transfer and booking at Mudangari police station in Nairobi on Thursday, December 11th, 2025. Now, over 2,000 Kenya Power employees have retired since 2020, creating urgent staffing gaps as the company struggles to keep up with a growing customer base. The utility says it expects nearly 500 more staff to leave by 2026, threatening its ability to maintain timely electricity services for over 10 million customers. Some 2,234 employees have exited Kenya Power over the past 5 years. The company disclosed in its latest annual report, with a further 488 expected to retire by June 2026. This will bring total retirements over the 6 years to 2,722, putting pressure on staffing and service delivery. To address the shortfall, Kenya Power said it has adopted phased recruitment, particularly in technical departments, to improve response to its over 10 million customers. Now, the High Court has ordered that a dispute involving the Music Copyright Society of Kenya be heard inter partes inter partes on July 21st, 2026, after declining to suspend a decision by the Copyright Tribunal that barred the society from collecting and distributing royalties due to the absence of a valid operating license. In her ruling, Justice Linus Kassan refused to grant MCSK interim relief to stay the tribunal decision, marking a second setback for the collective management organization. Instead, the court directed that the matter proceed to a full hearing. And finally, UDA has reaffirmed its commitment to delivering free, fair and transparent grassroots elections ahead of January's exercise across 20 counties. Here is UDA's Treasurer, Japhet Nyakundi, speaking during a sensitization event in Kiambu County.
These elections that will start at the polling station level will be free, fair, credible and verifiable. Na tunatumia ile njia ya kielektroniki. Wewe ukipiga kura, jioni ikifungwa hivi, within 30 seconds, wewe unapata kura yako. Kama wewe umerejesa kama mkulima, unapata kura yako hapo. Kama umerejesa kama mfanyabiashara, unapata hapo. Kwa hivyo tunawaomba nyote, mjitokeze tarehe 10 ili tuweze kupiga kura, tuchague viongozi wetu kutoka kule chini mpaka hapa juu.
That's the News Wire. I'm Leah Ubaga.
SpiceFM, Malindi.
In this country, 6 families and 8,000 Kenyans control 90% of the GDP. We are not a country. We are a plantation. We work for Ruto.
When you're telling the judges court orders are papers or they will not obey court orders, they're sitting and you're seeking orders from them. So how are they supposed to interpret it? Isn't it an oxymoron?
When you see a judiciary that seems to be under some control somewhere, you start questioning. We have very powerful governors, but they don't use their offices to serve the people.
If you are not shameful to do what you are doing, why should we protect you?
I'm human. Everybody's human. So when you're told, kuja tuongee, I mean, you'd be a fool to say, stagi kuongea. Conversations have to be had, you know?
People in leadership should only go into leadership if they are ready and willing to change the lot of the people.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
So we took a break, but that didn't stop the conversation from happening, and we're still continuing with that. Professors Peter Kagwanja and Alfred Omanya are here with us this morning, and we're looking into this first world dream to go from developed to, or rather from developing to developed. And somebody said something profound a while ago, that if truly what you want to do is get to a developed state of things, you have to do what the developed countries did.
Yes. Thank you.
Yes.
As simple as that.
As simple as that.
Yeah.
If that is truly what you aspire to do, you have to do what they did. Are we very far off? And so, also, it's been said that President Ruto has given Kenyans an opportunity to dream and aspire towards something, but that the vehicle through which it's being done is, you have the wrong vehicle, or that you have the wrong, you know, you're playing Monopoly with chess pieces. It won't work. That you will not achieve the desired outcome. The worrying thing is that these words are surrounded by individuals that we thought would then be able to walk this journey in a particular way. And these are advisors. There are quite a number of them. They're economic advisors, they're infrastructure advisors, there's so many of these individuals who've been given positions. When we look at that and what they should then be able to achieve, shouldn't it be going in that direction where it said, okay, this is great, Mr. President, that we want to go towards the developing space or towards the developed space, but these are things that must be done. There are brilliant people who are in the National Treasury. They have brilliant people who are in state departments of ministries. They're there.
Right.
So what happens? Or are they none the wiser? They're told this later. Oh, by the way, folks, we're going the Singapore way, and then you catch up. How does that work?
I think part of the problem is, as you're speaking, I'm reminded of these churches where they push prosperity, and the way prosperity is pushed is by claiming. There's something they call you claim what was actually yours. So if you see a helicopter outside, you go and lay your hands on it and claim it. So, of course, you don't work for it. You have no money for it and so on. But then you claim it. That's how irrelevant some of these dreams are. Yeah, so dreams are okay, but some dreams are totally irrelevant. Some are even dangerous. Some might turn you into a thief. Yeah, because there's such a big disconnect between your dreams and the reality.
Yeah.
The other one is a sad one that you mentioned there about advisors. A lot of these advisors, a number of them are people who've taught at the university. And Prof and I, at some point, we taught at the university. That's why we're professors. If this was an assignment, what the president is doing was an assignment, basic assignment, right? About not even in economics, just a warm-up for students, where you're saying, write about how to get your country to a developed world.
Introduction to international relations.
Exactly.
Okay.
And this was an assignment.
Yeah.
The president would score 0. In fact, we'd call him for censure. Maybe because we'd be thinking that...
Is this what you really want to study? Yeah.
Are you sure? Have you heard about governance? Have you heard about corruption? Have you heard about meritocracy? Have you heard about systems and how they work? Have you heard about strategic plans? Have you heard? And that's what people like Njeri should be telling the president, that you're our boss, but this one is, this one is a bit stupid. These are at least these are the basics that you should have. And because you have a particularly weak student, why don't you just copy another student? And we do that with students all the time. Go look at a thesis that was written here 3 years ago. It deals with the same thing, and then see what you can add. And that's what I would advise Ruto if I was his advisor. Mr. President, first I would laugh a little bit. Well, Mr. President, there was a guy here just like you. He was also a president, and he did a thesis called Vision 2030. Just go read it, make a few changes to it, and also read what Lee Kuan Yew had done for his country, and then make a few changes, and then come back. Then maybe we can have a more coherent conversation. Currently, this is quite erratic.
If I could add to that, what Prof has said. You see, in the first place, and not everybody will have the privilege of teaching the university in order to know that this is a good thesis, this is a bad thesis. But even in the village, because I sit in the villages and with the elders, the coherence of thought among our people is amazing.
Yeah.
Our people from the west to the south, they think straight.
Exactly.
Now, in this country, we know that we started off very well with a document called wealth creation.
Correct.
And the purpose of the wealth creation was to get out of this talk about poverty alleviation.
Correct.
Like
Correct.
the goal is
Exactly.
poverty is like the sun. It has to be there. What we want to do is to reduce the heat.
Correct.
No, poverty does not need to concern us. It is how we transform ourselves into, prosperous people.
Exactly.
So it's all about prosperity.
Correct.
So that is one. Then we moved from there to Vision 2030.
Right.
Vision 2030 is expiring in the next 3 or so years. Now, by this time, the debate that the president should have kicked off is the debate about Kenya Vision 2063.
Correct.
Which will get us 100. And that's what China and others are doing.
Correct.
Now, the other thing he should be doing is about thinking. I had no problem with Moi in March 2018, 2002, when he said that Kano is going to govern for 100 years. Because if you don't have an elite, where your vision succeed each other in the same manner currently, then the nation can never develop. Ruto can never turn Kenya into a Singapore because it's a single leader.
Correct.
And the transformation of countries is a multi-generational.
Yeah.
So what we should be talking about is not a multi-generational fund. It's a multi-generational leadership.
Correct.
Let me give you the thinking here. China started off in 1949 and all the way up to 1978. It's such a poor country, so pathetic, that in Africa, only 2 countries were poorer than China. That was Uganda and Guinea-Bissau. Yes, by 1980, February, the only 2 countries that were poorer than China were those 2. And both of them were in civil war. Uganda was in civil war with Amin, Guinea-Bissau had come from another civil war after Amilcar Cabral was assassinated and all that. After 1978, we have had, as Mao Zedong had died, so we have Deng Xiaoping and his successors. By today, all these leaders seamlessly have developed their country using what they call opening up and reform policies. It is not about infrastructure funds that China has set. It is not about sovereign funds. It is not about funds, these cow funds, goat funds, and chicken funds. No, that's not what they did. They set up a vision that every leader must adhere to. And that was the dream of the NAC government, that will have a vision which will guide every of our leaders. Ruto is supposed to be implementing the final part of Vision 2030. And therefore, he has a historical obligation to give us the next vision for the next either 30 or 50 years. If he thinks that Kenya will become a United States
But if you prolong a vision or if you bring in a new vision, should you not actually look at what you've been able to achieve?
That's the point. That's the debate we should be having. We should be having debate about what we have done, what we have achieved. And by the way, we have achieved a lot.
Yes.
And to be honest, Ruto has been part of that process.
Correct. Yes.
So he should be claiming that legacy.
Exactly.
Because he was part of it.
Including the infrastructure.
Including the infrastructure anyway. No. Yes. He was part of it. And therefore, he should be thinking about the successor leadership. Now he should be looking for the younger people now to mentor who will understand the vision and carry that into the future. From Deng Xiaoping to Xi Jinping, those 7 leaders have transformed China into a superpower within a period of 40 years. So you don't need a lot of that. Pulling from the bottom, Kenya is not coming from where China came from. We are coming from a middle income economy that is rated by the World Bank. And that has given credit by all the funds, as the president was himself saying. So we're not starting from a clean slate. So that means that this idea of emphasizing, one time a hyena wanted to eat a calf. And it decided that what I'm going to do, I'm going to emphasize something. And because the issue is a moral question, I'm not going to emphasize the important. I'm going to emphasize the unimportant. So there is a cow and the owner. So the owner is what you are going to emphasize. But what it is, you are not going to say. Whose? You shout, whose? Then you say, cow. In a whisper. Then you say 3 times and you say nobody has come to claim the ownership of the cow. But you are not mentioning the cow.
The cow itself.
The cow itself. You are mentioning whose. So everybody is listening to hear what it is that you want to say. But you don't say it because the purpose is to eat the calf anyway. So let us be honest with ourselves and give accent where it is supposed to be.
Okay, so if
this country needs to produce, 2, this country need a vision to supersede or succeed Vision 2030. 3, this country need to turn back to meritocracy, merit-based leadership from the bottom to the top. And this country need to return to its moral foundation.
Prof, you speak of meritocracy, and this then brings the conversation of political honesty, political good manners, and what one would say is a clearly spelled out vision on where we want to go. Because if you look at the history of China, yesterday we were having a discussion, and there is the aspect that by the year 2025, China years back had decided, you know what, we do not produce electric cars, but by 2025 we need to be the biggest producers of the same. You know, our energy that we use is not clean, but we need to be the top producers of clean energy, and all this was in a vision that they have stuck through, and 5 years later, as we speak today, they are the biggest producers of these sectors that you've talked about. Now, here's a question where you look at how successive leaders in China have carried the original, what one would call the mother vision throughout. And Kenya One asked the question, we had Vision 2030, which was our mother dream. How do we further it forward? So is it a question today that all we are doing with infrastructure fund and 5 trillion shillings that we need is just a political gimmick for the next election, and not necessarily a vision in the long term that is aimed at making Kenya be better?
You know what is actually sad also is not just the vision or the lack of it. What is sad is that now we do have a leadership that can hardly think beyond themselves. And I've said that over and over again. I was just thinking as Prof was speaking here and reflecting on the 2 pillars of again, Singapore that we're talking about. This creating a business-friendly environment and also export-oriented growth. If you look at those 2 pillars, those 2 pillars are not pillars where politicians benefit directly. So you basically create an infrastructure for other people to do things that are good for your country. And if you look at the entire Singaporean pillars and so on, you could say that a lot of them have to do with what is good for the country, not necessarily what is good for the politician. And one thing that I find disturbing in this country at all levels is just how, lack of enablement by the political class. They're an obstacle to everybody. They're an obstacle to investors. They're an obstacle. People hang around politicians' offices so that they can get favor to do a government project, leave alone even a private project, as it actually were. If you're going to do an investment outside there, the person who's going to fight you, the person who's actually going to fight you is a politician. It is not. We don't see the politician as an enabler who's saying, look here, during my leadership, so many companies have been established in Kenya, so much production is happening and so on. Even our president, and sometimes it disturbs me, even our president, when you hear the president talking about the sort of production that he's talking about, a lot of it is really government doing things. We even quarrel about that when we're discussing housing, that the role of government is to enable private sector to deliver housing. It is not for government to build houses. When you hear about agriculture, it's about new irrigation schemes and so on being done by government. We don't hear emphasis that government will just enable people, will enable private sector, will enable investors to come in and put in their money and build growth and all of these things, and starting to ask how can this then be facilitated. Yes, of course we are talking a little bit about PPPs, but you don't get that accent, you don't get that urgency that here is a government that actually wants to create an infrastructure that wants to support the rest. That wants to support its people, that wants to support investors, private investors, that wants to support the private sector to do things. So we're seeing government doing a lot of things that number one, they don't need to do because they're very bad at it, and they're better left to the private sector. That conversation is not happening. Yet, what you're talking about, even in terms of this fund and so on, is anchored on private sector. Sure. But again, what you're hearing is more what government intends to do, rather than what this fund will do, to unlock private sector potential to then drive these different sectors that we're talking about. So we can't even envision, what government needs to do in every single sector, to enable the productivity that we expect from the private sector. We don't see that at all. We see government wanting to do the same things that the private sector actually wants to do.
Is doing.
And to me, that is missing in the conversation.
To just add on what Prof is saying, When I look at our leadership, and let me be judged as guilty as I am. I look at my two boys in the house competing to come and show me how how they have performed very well. It's like you are waiting to be judged on how well you have done by this mighty dad, because so that you can be rewarded. And that kind of reward, let me call it immature reward-based conception of national development is what is messing us up. And it started with Uhuru Kenyatta, and now Ruto is amplifying it. Now, why do I say it started? I saw billboards with Kenyatta of what he has done, done this. You are not supposed to do anything. This is us.
Exactly, correct.
This is our government. This is our people. You're supposed to give us leadership to achieve what we achieve. And that's why people talk about Kibaki. They don't talk about Kibaki because of anything else. Because he never claimed anything. He just got things done. That's what a leader is supposed to do. Because if you wear that mentality that you'll be judged by the kilometers of roads that you have built, and that is how you are going to be judged, you are holding the wrong end of the stick. Why? Because it is not about the kilometers. It's the quality of life that people have. Two, it is not about the houses you have built. It's about the quality of the policy you introduce that enabled people not only to build houses in urban areas, but also to repair their dilapidated homes in the villages. The ones they build with the coffee boom, and there's no more coffee boom, what are they going to do with their houses that need painting, that need new roof, that new tiling? Do you have that comprehensive policy that deal with Kenya as a whole? And if you want to just have the shows that we are going to go on the road and say, oh, those are Nyao houses, or those are these houses, or those are those houses. I mean, you go to South Africa today, and I have lived in South Africa for 10 years, and I have lived in Kenya. If you tell me to own a house in Kenya by buying, I'll tell you are foolish. You don't know economics.
Exactly.
Because this is a rentier's market.
Correct.
A house where you pay and the owner cannot even pay his mortgage using the rent you have done.
True.
In South Africa, it's the other way around.
Correct,
It's an owner's whatever. So immediately you get there, 1 year, 2 years, you go to the bank and get your own and you start paying. If you leave the house, it will pay for itself. Okay. You get it. So people are able to move from their houses and build new houses across outside Johannesburg, outside Pretoria, outside Cape Town, because the houses are not supposed to be affordable. They are supposed to be what you can build. It's not about the market, affordability or non-affordability. All these concepts are confusing. What is affordable to a primary school teacher? Correct. What is affordable to a university professor? And what's affordable to the other? So these are relative terms.
Correct. Even as we do have these conversations, and then at least to point our minds in the direction in which this should actually be going, the fund has been established by Cabinet yesterday.
That's okay.
The infrastructure fund has been established by Cabinet. And the thinking is still that...
We're not fighting it.
No, but the thinking is still that it must be infrastructure bound. But it is clear... It's clear now that with this, we will not reach this hallowed place that we're supposed to be going. We won't. It's obvious that it will not happen. And 5 trillion shillings at the start is going to be employed to be able to get this done. The 28,000 kilometers of road, this, that, the other thing. But like you said, there's going to be nothing moving along on that caboose. No. Because it's just going to be cement city, essentially what we're looking at. Where would you imagine this 5,000 shillings can come from? Dennis told us that we've collected 3 trillion, we've collected almost 4 trillion, and that has not been able to sort out the issues that Kenya has. It has not been able, it has not been done. The CAOB today, in a story that we've seen, has talked about 2% absorption by counties. 2% absorption. That is development that we're talking about. Whether the money came late, never, it's not the issue right now, is that it didn't happen. That development didn't happen with money that was available. Now we are saying that we are going to get to the developed world with money that's, number one, not available yet, And that with this new infrastructure, with the one that we have,
Right.
there has only been 2% absorption in the regional bodies that the Constitution has broken up due to devolution. Truly, honestly, we can talk, we can proclaim, we can pontificate, but truly, honestly, is this model, is it going to work? Where is the 5 trillion shillings going to come from? Let's start there.
No, the 5 trillion shillings can be found. That's not a problem. That is the easier part of it. But I wanted, and I'll come just to that right away. But I wanted to emphasize what you said at the start, and you are insinuating it here. The problem is never really about money. We know that. Look at the housing fund. What is the absorption rate of that housing fund anyway?
Well, let's be honest. How many houses have been built since 2020?
And the fund is, and the money is there.
1,200 and so
and
have
the
been
money
built in
is
2.5
there.
years.
We are collecting 67 billion every year to build houses. So we're not even absorbing it in the first instance. And another thing that the Kenyan problem is not a fund problem. It's not a money problem. The Kenyan problem is elsewhere. It is a corruption issue. It's a governance issue. Is all these different things. But to come back to your question. For government to raise 5 trillion in the market, that's very easy. That's extremely, private sector are able to do it. Government can and will do it, actually. That I'm not even worried about. There's a lot of resources in this country, even before we go out, looking for people, looking for places to invest. In fact, the problem has been the same government, that opportunities for citizens to normal opportunities for citizens to invest in their own country and make money have been thwarted. A good example, we're having conversations when Talo Oil was coming in here with the former Minister of Energy, Kiraitu Murungi. And we're asking ourselves, is it impossible for Kenyans to raise money that would result in prospecting of our oil there? If a vehicle was created, that money would be raised overnight in the stock markets. It would be raised overnight. We know government borrowing, not even whatever, bonds. Those things, basically, they're normally oversubscribed by far. Yeah. So we, in terms of where to get the money, we do actually have the money. That's not a problem. The issue, again, just like we've been discussing here, are more fundamental issues about governance. There are more fundamental issues about even the nature of these funds. Now, if you're shifting away from the broader governance issues to these funds. How have these funds been created before? In most of these countries, yes, we're talking about Norway, we're talking about the Netherlands, we're talking about Europe. Governments create these funds largely from surpluses that they have. They come in, so it's not borrowing from the market. You come and create a fund from the surpluses, and then of course you crowdfund in case you need additional funds and so on, is invested, and then you got your sovereign funds, and you can use that for infrastructure. In Europe, there's a case of actually donations into the fund from different countries and so on, and saying fine, we shall actually create a European infrastructure fund that then you can actually use to develop. Here, of course, we've said, it'll be a company, it'll be a private sector, so that it is not, we are not burdened in our taxes, and that makes sense. But on the other hand, this company, what would be the basis for this company to raise funds? Can anybody just create a company, then you go to the stock market and raise funds? The only basis for this company to raise funds is that those funds would be secure. That's why they're called sovereign funds. And who is the security? It will be Kenya's people and Kenyan taxes. So whether we like it or not, this particular fund that is being created will have to be secured by our taxes, by taxes that we're yet to pay, really, and anyway, by our taxes and our incomes and so on. Of course, this thing is also connected to the sovereign wealth issue that again cabinet talked about. So it's very clear that we are looking at the wealth that this country has. Our wealth, our inheritance as Kenyans is actually going to be part of this. So what does that actually mean? If you double with that in the market, you can lose that wealth anyway, because this fund will also be getting investments from third party players and the private sector issue. This, if you look at it carefully, the Ruto government has been trying quite hard to privatize Kenyan state companies and
KPC, big one,
and state corporation. Yes, we have pipelines that are being talked about. There've been conversations about the airport. There've been, especially the ones that are doing well. In fact, we want to sell our stake in Safaricom and so on. So we've had this issue that we actually want to take away Kenya's wealth, literally sovereign wealth, and put it in private hands, and that's a terrible thing, actually, as it were. That needs to be protected, despite the fact that we need to generate other funds. So we need to think quite carefully about what this fund would be. And if it is the same companies that we're talking about, when the president spoke, he spoke about Kenya Railway, for example, expanding their things and so on, having money for the ports and so on. And for me, I was cringing because I said, so how will Kenya Railway, for example, invest in this sovereign fund? One of the most straightforward ways of doing it is turn Kenya Railways into a private company. Turn all those things into private companies. Let guys own it. Then these guys now would own that big infrastructure thing, and that way, then they can raise money unfettered by some other other regulations. And from where I sit, we need to be a little bit more careful, so that because ours is really a borrowing model. The way we create funds. I have a small fund in my farm, EcoBuild. We create funds out of surpluses. We don't create funds. In fact, we're discussing here with Prof that I want to create a reserve fund for my family, so that we are sure that we'll always have rents and go for holiday and so on. So how do I do it? I go to the bank and borrow money, and then put it in an account, and then have to pay the bank. We don't even have money to pay the bank. We are more vulnerable. I mean, that's stupid. What happens that if we really want to create an actual reserve fund that has meaning, then we have to do our savings diligently. And at some point we say, now our savings, and our investments can enable us, can protect us for a year.
Isn't that what it's supposed to do? But look at what other countries with sovereign funds do.
Exactly.
And of course, one of the most famous is Norway with, what is it, 4
and the oil profits. Exactly.
Yeah, and those are oil profits.
Correct.
Because they're kept there for a situation where things may go belly up, and then that fund should actually be used to essentially sort things out.
And still speaking about that, because you see, I would have listened to the president, honestly, a lot more seriously, if the guy said, look here, we are losing money in corruption, we are losing money in inefficiencies, we are losing opportunities from dysfunctional state agencies that should be making profits, and they're not. And we need to make money as a country, and as part of this, as part of our income as a country, we are going to use this as a bedrock of a sovereign fund. I would listen to that. But if you're telling me we'll go to the market, that's being clever. Being clever is not what we need to run the country. We'll go to the market, somehow convince them, and then raise 5 trillion. These 5 trillion, we shall not call it debt, despite the fact that we shall. And meanwhile, nothing has changed. We are saying, how sure are we that 5 trillion will be used now, the way it was meant to be used to deliver for us a profit, as it were.
And that's the problem.
One of the things that I was thinking about, imagine, we have a company in Kenya, a few people have heard of it, called Kenya Airways. And because of these governance things that we're talking about, that company loses billions every year. And we are able to tolerate it because there are not too many of such companies. Now you can imagine 5 trillion is how many Kenya Airways. You can imagine having 1,000 loss-making Kenya Airways. And we're enjoying at the hip. So one of the things that as taxpayers we are very concerned about is not just about the 5 trillion. Is do we really have serious, competent, committed, moral, ethical leadership that will guarantee that the 5 trillion will do what's meant to do? I've said here that actually 50% of our money goes into government inefficiencies. So you put 5 trillion, then 2.5 trillion is then goes into inefficiencies. You are paying double. You are building the most expensive SGR on earth. You are building the most expensive expressway per kilometer on earth. You are building Talanta Stadium, and every time I look at it, I'm like, God damn it. Where did these hundreds of billions go? I'm an architect. I understand some things about buildings. Really. And these are things the president has to deal with. Otherwise, we'll go to court and try every means possible to stop this thing. At the core of what we need, that is, gentlemen, at the core of what we need, really, we need good behavior. You cannot come and squander our trillions and then now come again with another scheme that we give you more trillions so that you can squander. That is not acceptable.
Professor Kagwanja, we've talked about the hardware and the software, and one would say if we fix the software of the country in terms of uplifting the social aspects of the infrastructure and having our leadership and politics and governance right, Kenya and that Singapore dream is a reality. But without fixing the software and the hardware, we're not going anywhere.
That is correct. But I think one thing that the president has achieved is to convince us that we deserve to be a Singapore. But we are not. That he has done.
Okay.
And part of the purpose of a leadership is to inspire. So to that extent, I think he has achieved inspiring Kenyans that we should not be complacent or even give hope that the failure of the Hasra nation is the failure of the Republic of Kenya.
Right.
The two are not synonymous. The Hasra nation may have died, but at least the Republic lives on. And that said, then, we are a Christian nation. So we don't need to be really philosophical or professorial, like Prof and myself. It is basic in the Bible. When the Egyptians found themselves in a very dark corner where a famine is coming
in,
what did they do? They invested in production.
Exactly.
So they can have surplus. They eat and have surplus to keep. And what did they do? They got the best and the ablest of their time, who was not even a national of the Egyptians. He was a foreigner who was able to help, keep this grain. And therefore, they had a sovereign fund, if you wish.
Exactly.
And this is the sovereign fund that was not only to feed them. So the concept of sovereign fund is not about borrowing. It is about growing and putting reserve. It's like this foolish farmer who sleeps all through the farming season, the cultivating season, and then start building granary that is going to harvest, and he had not planted. So in a sense, I think where we have reached as a republic in the 21st century, the third decade of the 21st century, we should tell our leaders that we are thinking.
We are awake.
We are awake. Don't take people for granted. You have the power. You can tell us that I went to Chicago and I read on one of the corner, a child was asked, if you are on top of the world, what would you do? And the child said, ice cream would be vegetable. Because every day the mother is talking about eat your vegetable. She doesn't like it.
So turn ice cream into vegetable.
So she turn ice cream into a vegetable. So here we are busy turning
vegetables into ice cream.
Here we are turning ice creams into vegetables so that people can like them. The truth of the matter is that we have to build our nation on fundamentals. The fundamentals of political economy. The fundamentals of the economy. So I used to argue a lot with my friend Adam Olo and others during the campaign. And we used to the late Raila Odinga used to say that he is going to start from a very, very comfortable corner. And Mother Karua, the deputy at that time, would be running around saying the same. And we are going to just block all corruption. And from the start, we will start with a clean 2 billion, 2 trillion. Because if every month, according to Uhuru Kenyatta, we are losing 2 billion. So how much are we losing per year?
Well, it's now 3 billion.
So we will start off with a clean 3 billion. And that's what Raila was saying. And that's why he was willing to give 6,000 shillings to every Kenyan who has no job. Because there was money to give. And therefore there was money to spend as well. So it was a very rational thing because we are broken. If President William Ruto said, I'm going to close all corruption avenues and I'm going to create a fund that is going to be based on what we are saving,
That would be a different story.
It would be making a lot of sense.
While taking into consideration a very important thing which we seem to forget, and that's the issue of debt. That can you develop and can you make train to the Orient Express on the Orient Express where we headed to?
Right.
Can you do that with the amount of debt that Kenya owes, odious or otherwise? Because if we're saying that for every 100 shillings of revenue, 68 shillings
70,
is going towards the payment of debt. Can we have a conversation where this also is one of the agents?
It is the same conversation we are having.
Exactly,
The conversation is this. The most indebted countries in the world are Japan
is US,
and the United States.
But what have they done with the money they have borrowed?
This is where we are.
Yes.
That it is not about debt.
Yes.
It's
What have
about
they
what you
done
are
with
doing
it?
to your country. Are you producing? Japan is producing Toyotas. It is producing all the robots now.
Right.
It is producing virtually everything, including exporting their sports, like taekwondo and the others. They're exporting everything. So they can afford it to borrow against what they have. In any case, it is not healthy to keep money in the country. Why don't you borrow and money security? So Japan has 240 plus % debt. We are not even yet 100 ourselves. So I personally I see the politicization of debt in 2022 politics as a part of the problem we are getting ourselves into. The railway, the debt we are having today is about the railway. Actually, the largest debt we have the SGR. And instead of talking about what we wanted with SGR we wanted to industrialize.
Yes.
Today, SGR comes from Mombasa full.
Yes.
Almost 2 kilometers of railway, attached, one carriage after another. Upon reaching the country, it goes to Mombasa empty. Right? Why? Because it has nothing to export. That's where the problem is. It's not about sovereign funds. It's not about unsovereign funds. It's not about chicken funds.
Right.
It's not about that. It's about what we are taking out. So the railway must go full and come down full. And therefore, the question is not about distribution or consumption. It's about production.
Correct.
And that's why we are so dependent on now the IT.
Right.
Whether we are selling phones or we are selling that, and we are not producing anything ourselves. So we should now go to the basics. In the Hasra, what to call bottom up strategic thinking, it never brought in industrialization, and we have reached a level where our agriculture is begging to be industrialized.
Exactly.
It is literally beckoning us. A small country called Sri Lanka, from Ceylon, grows 10% of our tea, but it exports 10 times what we export. It earns 10 times what we want. Why? Because no tea leaves Ceylon unpackaged. It is Ceylon tea. So what are we doing with the Pakistanis? Giving them our tea to process and then market to the other parts of the world.
Right.
We are giving our tea to the Germans and the British. They package it, Lipton, as this, as that. Then they export for us. I mean, can't we be bold enough as leaders and say, to hell with the funds. We want industries. We want value addition of our products.
Put up the thing the way it had. Put it up. You've got the coffee here. You've got the avocado here. You've got the tea here. Put it up.
I went to a factory in Naivasha thanks to the government itself, and I met that Kenyan. He's a Kenyan of Indian descent, 5th generation. And I said, as I was living there, if I was airlifted and dropped in that factory, and then I am lifted again and put back, I would come here and start preaching to the Kenyans. Now do factories like those ones. That benchmark with those factories. But that factory is here. They are packaging avocados and they are marketing them to Middle East, to China and Europe. Today, I learned that even the vegetables that is being eaten in Paris, the green beans are actually coming from Naivasha and packaged because their supply chain is so efficient.
Correct.
Now, so the SGR had gone there literally to see what they can help. And within it never took a long time to know we need an extension to that factory.
Yes.
Now, this is what we are talking about.
Correct.
For at least XGR, we will have avocados. And by the way, the president's avocados, I met them there. I was shocked. That is one of the best growers of avocado. I was shocked.
Which president?
By chance, he's arrived. As I was there, they were being sorted out as we were arriving. So he's a good farmer.
Okay.
And he knows this.
He knows exactly.
He knows this. So, and he knows that they are manufacturers who can do this.
That's the tragedy.
So yeah. So why can't he just do that? You get us to process our avocados, process our vegetables, process our coffee, and then have things to put in our train to China, to Singapore, to Malaysia, and whatever. So this is where the problem is come. You know the cure,
but you just don't apply.
Just don't do it. Instead, you are bringing these esoteric ideas about funds that are from borrowing.
Yes.
You cannot have borrowing and funds in the same sentence.
It won't work.
No, it is absurd.
A closing point from you both will start with you, Professor Momanyi, because we established this is where an aspiration is a good thing to have. But on the ground, what must be done to ensure that this thing actually happens, if that's the direction in which you should be going? We've talked about what we should do. We've talked about how we should actually engage moving forward. But the reality on the ground is that it would appear as though, we're very clear from Cabinet yesterday and from the President that this is the direction in which it's going. If lived experience is anything to go by, that 5 trillion shillings into that fund, we may not see where it will go. But then how should people engage at this point to then be able to say, no, this is not where we should be going? Leadership, governance, begging for a particular direction to be taken. What should be done now?
No, thank you very much, Ndu and Dennis and Prof. I think it is time that we ask for maturity. I've said over and over again that what you have in government, both national and county, and have been castigated for it, is juvenile governance. Life is serious. Running nations is serious business. There's need for honesty. There's need for these nuances. Whatever is being said, I've no problem with it. But if our leaders, if our president was sitting down and saying, how will this thing actually work? And applying the minds to it, the solutions are really not a problem. We have enough capacity in this country to help the president realize this. Be it the infrastructure fund, be it the Singaporean dream, even debt, as we're talking about, and Prof has alluded to that. There's no problem with that. In fact, sometimes it's better using debt than using your own money, because it's cheaper in particular instances and so on. But my big problem with this country currently, especially the guys in government, people do not work. People do not think about this country. People do not think about the impacts the departments, can achieve. People spend 3/4 of their time, if not 100% of their time, thinking how they can make some quick buck, how they can loot this country, how they can make billions so that they can run for this and that stupid post here and there. That is the problem. We lack serious politicians in this country, really. We lack serious leaders in this country. People can sit down and say, look here, this is what we're doing, this is how far we're going with it. We think that there's a problem in this and that, and we're changing course. We are tweaking things like this and that. So what you see is lack of depth. It's total lack of depth in government policies and even in government programs. What you see is a bunch of juveniles defending their position so fiercely, and their position that actually doesn't even make sense to the public. It is time we really, and our politicians, we love you. It is time our politicians realize that what we require of them as Kenyans is not to give us heaven. We just require of them to apply their minds, spend at least 4 hours a day doing the job you said you're going to do. We understand you're humans and you want to achieve everything. But don't go there and you're looting and you're stealing. You're not applying your mind to anything. And whenever Omenya and Kagwanja here raises issues, you come in and castigate. You're stupid. If that's the case, why aren't you running government and so on? That's very juvenile. Sit down and do what you have to do. And like we've said here, and we're professors, we read this country. That's the reason why we are here. All will be well. This country is okay. We have the basics. We have everything that we need for prosperity. In fact, I always tell people that when I go out there, I push my Kenyan heritage and even my Kenyan education compared to this other broader education we had. We have a good product. We have a good country. However, we need people who can think through things. Sometimes it's not convenient. Sometimes it is not rosy. But then, we want somebody that you can listen to. You can say, yes, that guy has been trying this thing. He's gotten advice. He's tweaked it. And exactly moving forward. We don't expect a Kenya that is managed by gods. So don't be a god. The gods we worship on Sunday.
Yeah.
I didn't elect President Ruto to be a god. I don't expect him to solve all problems. But I expect him to at least perform as a normal president would.
Indeed.
Sit down, work on policies, come back, give us feedback, have the struggles, have failures, have successes,
But
and so on.
move.
That is okay.
All right. Professor Kagwanja?
I think we need to separate spaces. If I am a man of faith and I'm in politics, I should know when I'm in the political space and I'm in the faith place.
Faith space, yeah.
The prosperity gospel is for the faith.
Correct.
Don't bring it into politics.
Correct.
Because it is not going to help our people. Keep prosperity gospel in the of the helicopter church and other churches in their space, and so on, because the kind of thinking we are having here about funding is touch Singapore and God will give you Singapore, or touch Malaysia and God will give Malaysia, touch this, and let's separate those spaces. Second, I think we must learn from our mistakes in the past. What happened to Hasra Fund?
Exactly.
How successful has it been?
Exactly. Yep.
So, are there lessons we can learn from the Hasra Fund before we create more funds?
Correct.
And more funds. The third, I think this issue that Professor mentioned here, the juvenile politics. And it's not an insult. It's not a demeaning thing. But we know, because we have been sons ourselves, and we have them there. We have our daughters, and our mothers and our sisters have been daughters. Now, don't run politics that you are going to be graded by some people somewhere, or because you'll be graded during the voting.
Yes.
And the voters are cleverer than just saying you build 3 kilometers. They can see the quality of life that has come to them. So let's then put our politics at that level where we are real. Let's give people policy. Governments are about policy. They are not about doing. Governments are not implementers. Government are about policy. And finally, President William Ruto owes us one thing. Vision 2063. He has not even started thinking. I cannot even factor his funds within the vision. Because the next president who is going to come might decide that he doesn't want us to go to Singapore. He wants us to go back to Uganda or under Amin.
Then we're stuck.
So where we are. So he must give us a vision, because he himself, he was given a vision. Whether he implemented it or not is we'll judge him, but he was given a vision by his predecessors. So he need to give his predecessor a vision, not the confusion of this fund, that fund, this chicken fund, this fund. That's, we need to stop that. Kenya need to be taken serious as a country. We are a serious people. We are a very self-respecting people, and we are truthful people. Don't tell us lies. Don't take us for granted. Just get us through the right course.
Correct.
Couldn't be said better. Professor Peter Kagwanja, as well as Professor Alfred Omanya, thank you both of you for being here this morning, to be able to chart that course and see, okay, well, this is what is being said. This is what we ought to do. Thank you very much for lending your voices. We look forward to the next conversation because it is clear that another one needs to be had. Asante, we've been discussing how to navigate this constantly changing world. And when it comes to your money, you also need a plan that's easy to access. The good news, ICEA is making your financial journey seamless and digital. Forget the old-fashioned complicated stuff. ICEA Line has digital channels like their WhatsApp chatbot and their self-service portal, making planning super easy. They even have a retirement preparedness index tool. It helps you calculate exactly how much you need for retirement and gives you a specific target to plan towards. I think a couple of people could use that. ICA Line is making insurance and investments necessities and not luxuries for a diverse group of people. Find your accessible, inclusive and helpful plan today. Just ask, what's your plan? And check it out at icealion.co.ke. With 45 shillings in your pocket?
45 shillings in your pocket, 3 hours of unlimited data. 19 shillings, 1 hour of unlimited data. How do you get it? Star 544 hash or go to your My Airtel app or walk to any Airtel shop nearby and buy the Airtel SIM card. All this is to ensure that you get to enjoy seamless life and comfort that comes about by being connected to a partner who will assure you that. How do you get to that again? I've told you, star 544 hash. But then again, give us your story on missing out simply because your internet bundle was cut short. Christine will be getting in touch with you. Talk to us across our social media platforms.
Indeed, and as we round this out for this hour, what are you doing tomorrow and on Thursday? Head on down to the Sarit Center because Christmas like no other is happening at Sarit. Have a visit with Mr. and Mrs. Santa, the Grinch and all the Christmas characters, and have a chance to shop for unique African gifts at the Masai Mara only at Sarit. Shop, win, and get into the Christmas spirit only the way it can be done at Sarit. So find out how you can also shop and put stuff on the Sarit Loyalty app, and you can do all of this through the festive season, way through till the 24th. Sarit is bringing Christmas to you. Get on down to the Sarit Center and enjoy that. Good morning at 9 a.m.
The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
Good morning. This is the News Wire. I'm Leah Ubaga. Narok Central Sub-County Deputy Commissioner Kennedy Mwangome, in collaboration with Nakada and police officers, have seized illegal liquor worth 3 million Kenya shillings in Narok town. Speaking after the arrest of the suspect, Mwangome warned that authorities will take firm action against those involved in the illegal trade.
Tumefaulu kuweza kupata shehena ya pombe ambazo tunakisia kwamba ni haramu, zile ambazo tunaita counterfeit. Idadi yake ni zaidi ya mabox 200 na tunakadiria thamani yake kuwa kama zaidi ya milioni 3. Na pia tunataka kutoa onyo kwa wale wote ambao wanashiriki katika hii biashara haramu ya kuuza pombe ile ambayo tunaita illicit brew, pamoja na hii second generation ambayo pia imekuwa counterfeited. Siku zao zimeweza kufupishwa, na yote yule ambaye tutampata akiweza kujihusisha kwa biashara kama hiyo, tutahakisha kwamba ameweza kupitia katika mkono wa sheria, ili tuweze kuhakikisha kwamba tumemuondoa kati wale wafanya biashara ambao wanashiriki katika mambo yao.
Meanwhile, Nakada Deputy Director Simeon Mwangi has urged Kenyans to avoid consuming illicit alcohol, especially during the holiday season.
We have already established that some of this alcohol contains very fake KRA stamps. We also take this opportunity to warn people who partake alcohol to be very, very careful. This is a very sensitive season. Unscrupulous dealers in this business are dumping poison in the name of alcohol because they know they're going to make a quick kill. Everybody is out to make merry, and even the one who are making merry, we are urging them to be very careful because their health comes first. As Nakada, our clarion call is to have a nation that is free from alcohol and drug abuse. There have been reports of deaths that have been caused by consumption of counterfeited or alcohol that is not fit for human consumption. So based on that information that is public with regards to the harmful effects of any form of alcohol, we are calling on everybody that is engaged in this business to ensure that they put the health of their customers first.
Now, the Ugandan military has confirmed it is holding a Catholic priest who went missing nearly 2 weeks ago, accusing him of involvement in violent, subversive activities. In a brief statement, the military said Father Deus Dedet Sekabira has been arrested and was in lawful custody and would be charged in court. The Catholic diocese in the city of Masaka previously said Father Sekabira was kidnapped by men in Uganda army uniform. The church had not responded to the military's accusations. As Uganda prepares to hold elections next month, it faces growing scrutiny from human rights groups over reports of enforced disappearances and prolonged detention without trial. The Masaka diocese raised the alarm about Father Sekabira on Saturday. And moving on is Kenya is set to experience widespread rainfall and significant variations between December 16th and December 26th, according to the Kenya Meteorological Department. Rain is expected in several regions, including the highlands, east and west of the Rift Valley, Lake Victoria Basin, the coast, and as well as the northern eastern Kenya and the southeastern lowlands, affecting both agricultural areas and major towns. Daytime temperatures are forecast to rise above 30 degrees Celsius in parts of the coast, northeastern and northwestern Kenya, while cold nights below 10 degrees Celsius are expected in high altitude areas, including the Rift Valley highlands and regions near Mount Kilimanjaro. The department has advised the public to follow daily and 5-day forecasts for county-specific updates. Well, that's the News Wire. I'm Leah Ubaga.
.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
We look at the utterances of leaders who are aligned to broad-based, who were initially in ODM. We thought they stand for something. Now they've been exposed.
Because we are a third world country, we are poor. And not because we don't have resources, but we have been robbed senseless.
Look at the wasteful expenditure. Look at how large government lives. And we've said this is something that can be controlled. It happens in many other countries.
Internally, we used to stand and tell him, boss, hii kitu ni mbaya. And you'd say, now he doesn't let me tell you, you saw the other parliamentary group meeting, people went there, sat, listened, looked at him, there was no plenary, left.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Yes, and so those are the conversations that we've been having this morning, keeping it tight for this last 2 hours and being with the professors. We're talking about really what it looks like to be, getting from developing towards developed and making the move in that particular space. I want to tell you about a card, and this card is a winning one. What are you going to be able to do when it comes to spending money and then earning money because you spent money? It's time to get paid for spending. The KCB Bank Kenya is launching a nationwide massive campaign called the Winning Card. And what do you actually need to do? All you need to do is spend money. Spend my money, chop in my money, and it's your chance to turn everyday purchases into epic prizes. So KCB is making their cards the convenient, secure, and rewarding payment option for everything that you do. Every time you use your KCB debit, credit, or prepaid card, you're automatically in the running. In the running for winning. You could win 10,000 shillings every week, or you could snag 100,000 shillings every month. And the grand prize, a luxury, that thing is called what? Wellcation.
Wellcation,
Wellcation, yes. You're going to Zanzibar, where the other day they caught a fish worth $3 million. Did they take it to the museum? No, they ate it. Anyway, that's not what we're talking about this morning. You could go to Zanzibar and see such things, because what did you do? You spend money on your KCB winning card. So use your KCB new card now for shopping, fueling, or online purchases, and make your card the winning card. You can do this with KCB. You need to do it today and win this festive season. Spend money, make money. Where does it ever get better than that?
You know, you spend money, make money. And here we're talking about spending money and saving that money. Because with Airtel, you're able to spend 19 shillings and get an hour-long unlimited data bundles. We talk about 3 hours and you're spending 45 shillings. So this is where your status of life, I keep telling you that I'm ambassador of good life. So you spend little, have a proper life, you know. I get to enjoy streaming my music, streaming my movies, or even attending class, ensuring that my child is able to do their assignments at an affordable way. You know, we keep talking about missing out. Right now, everyone is traveling. You're trying to book that ticket, but you're unable to finish that process because your data is limited. Airtel is telling you by dialing *544# or going to your My Airtel app or simply buying the Airtel SIM card, you're able to be part of these conversations and being in the room throughout. Remember, if you talk to us on that story that you have where you missed out simply because you did not have enough data, Christine will be giving you 3,000 shillings courtesy of Airtel. Get texting, get talking to us, and we'll be getting back to you if you are the winner.
Okay, so also, I just need to remind you of this thing where we've been talking about making plans. We've been talking about a target that you need to achieve. You don't need to worry. You don't need to be afraid. All you need to do is start. What you need to do today is say, what's your plan? And ask that in the direction of ICEA line, because there will be somebody who will then be able to answer your question. So let's get this segment. Let's do it on a note of optimism, because at its core, the business is in the business of human growth and the joy of a better life. They don't want to just romance the benefits of planning for the future, but also want to do this in an upbeat and memorable way. It's not about fear, it's about great life that you can build when you're prepared. That's soft life you're talking about.
Yes.
Do you? They help discerning individuals create wealth and protect themselves through innovative services. So use the services that are available to you by ICA Line, whether it's wealth generation, protecting your assets, or it's a retirement security fund. ICA Line is a brand for you. If you're not planning for the future with insurance and investments, it's about high time you did. What's your plan? Get started on that better life at icealion.co.ke.
Remember, failing to plan is planning to fail.
Exactly. All right. And I think that last statement it ushers us easily into our next conversation in terms of what's going to happen in the next 3 weeks when our just concluded candidates from the KJSEA exams now go to grade 10. We're getting into that conversation this morning where we then look into education as on a whole, but then we look at it specifically when we're talking about KJSEA and what next. Joining us in the hot seat of the Situation Room this morning, Joseph Muraya is the CEO of Central Careers. Joseph, good morning.
Good morning to you.
How are you doing?
Fine, thank you.
Welcome to the hot seat of the Situation Room.
Yeah.
Joined by Rose Okaya Ete, who's the CEO, Kenya Private Schools Association. Good morning, Rose.
Good morning.
Karibu sana.
Asante.
We're going to get into it. It's interesting because the results for KJSEA came out the other day and everybody is running around figuring out what to go on. The ministry has announced that the placements will begin today.
Yep.
Okay, but let's get into that just after Dennis shares today's proverb and we put you to work.
Yes. So our proverb is from the continent, right? Not any specific country, just different quotes from the continent. But this week is talking about being honest and truthful with people. So the ancestors at the time said, the one who comes into equity must come with clean hands. How would you interpret that?
That you cannot to be telling the truth when you yourself, you have no track record that you have kept that truth, you have been fair to people, and so you cannot claim for what you are not. It's like calling the pot calling the kettle black. Yes.
Yeah. We'll be suspecting that what you're saying is the truth anyway. How would you interpret it?
Thank you. My view is when you're getting into a deal, probably, or having a view as regards about a deal, ensure that your hands are very clean, that you are actually, your background can actually be checked, and there is high level of integrity as regards to your traces are clean.
Yeah.
Yes.
Background muhimu.
Yes.
Sana. All right. So we've come out of the period where at least some exam results have been released. And this exam is the first that has ever been done in Kenya after we've had the first cohort of grade 9s pick pathways sit the KJSEA exam, and then proceed to grade 10 in January 2026. Questions abound in terms of how this is all going to come together and how this is going to happen. And also as to then, if the ministry is going to end up deciding which pathway you're going to get onto, why did we waste time in second term of this year for these students to go ahead and pick? The grades combined with the ministry decision and also spaces determines then the pathway and the institution that these learners will go to. And this process starts today. What does it mean? We'll start with you, Rose. When all of this is happening, students have to wait and see what their call-up letters will be. Can they change their pathway? Are we looking at a situation where people are ready? There has been, and it's interesting because you fall right into that bracket, there has been a suggestion that it looks like the private schools are the ones who are going to save a lot of learners when they don't get the pathway that they want.
Okay. Thank you so much for that question. And let me begin by congratulating all the learners that participated in the just concluded KJSEA, and the results were announced. That was last week. And also to pass my congratulations to the private schools which had exemplary performance, and this we attributed to the fact that we have adhered to the CBC processes, which is parental engagement was very high, and adhering to pedagogy, and also just ensuring that systematic teaching or learning took place. When the results in most cases come out, the first we start looking at the child, the learner or the teacher, what they did or what they didn't do right. But really, these results should be able to define to us as a nation, where are we? Where is our education system? How do we compare ourselves if we say that we want to be global citizens? How do we compare to the other countries as a nation? Therefore, we shouldn't just look at what the learner did or what the learner didn't do. It is a collective responsibility as a society, because all we did led to what the results we have today. So as we plan to transition our learners in the next few weeks, and that is 2 weeks to come, I believe that as a nation, we are prepared, well prepared, and especially private schools, we are prepared. Facilities are in place, and we didn't start preparing today. We began preparing way back, ensuring that our facilities are in place. Infrastructure is well laid out to ensure that all learners transition well. And we've also, as private schools, ensure that career guidance is in place, which is a very important component to just ensure that then the learners are placed in the right pathway or the right careers. Because if we do not get the right careers for a child, we will get a great confusion even as we get to the level of grade 11, where children feel that they are not in the right place. So I believe even though we began this conversation late, it is not late at all. We can still do something to ensure that the success of this transition happens.
So we talk about the transition that is there, and rightfully so. When you talk about pathways, we're looking at careers, right? And one thing that has come out is fact that a lot of students who chose the pathways, majority selected STEM, and we compare that with now reports in terms of we do not have enough teachers that would get into this space that is coming from TAC and the pathways as well, because one would look at it in terms of, because we know the categories that were chosen, right? So if later, based off the report, NEC would suggest that someone goes to second tie instead of going to STEM, one would decide to go to, a parent would decide, no, I want my child to go through STEM, hence go to private school, right? But how does that then affect the position that rightfully so, based off results that has been seen, that a child should be taking a different path other than the one that they're being forced on? What does that do to this child and their future?
Of course, that will be taking us back to where we were in 844. But it's good to note that every parent has a paper that was printed from the system that tells them the schools they chose, the subject combination, and they were not just choosing subject combination, they were choosing a path where your strength, interest, and abilities are very clear. So there will be no need for anyone to start interfering, and we are told that the system for selecting schools and placement is automatic. So therefore, the only thing that they should interfere on is on the equity balance. and also the availability of space at that school. Because if Alliance had been chosen by 10,000 people and it can only accommodate 1,000, then we have now to go to the second level school that you chose. If that had a different subject combination, then it moves you to the next different subject combination, because a lot of time has been taken, a lot of resources have been deployed by parents choosing these pathways. People are very clear that I have chosen and I have combined my subjects. Unfortunately, maths was again dropped to be a comparative subject, but again it was chosen when we were doing the choosing. So I don't know when now they are going to revise and the maths is still there. They have not removed it on the subject combination. So there's still a confusion even now as they are revising, because parents are still revising now, because you can revise and you can change according to the outcomes. But remember, the outcomes that we are seeing there, the aggregate, this means it's all the way from grade 4. The aggregate we are seeing there, it's not for the Kijisea, it's from grade 4.
Yep.
But unfortunately, when you tell a parent that your child is good in STEM, you have still lost them, because STEM has another 3 tracks. They should have told you your child is good in track of pure science. Your child is again good in arts, but arts alone, not sports. Your child again is good in humanities, but not only in humanities, so languages, they are not doing well, so pick something in humanities. They should have come and told parents in that resource slip, you need to revise.
Joseph, why are you confused?
Okay.
Do you see now it's Christmas?
You're lost.
Completely.
No, people just knew they were selecting the stems. No, track. Who are those?
Let me correct this. Let me correct this narrative, because we have been doing it with the private schools, and
I'm lamenting like this because this is the same thing we do all the time. Then somewhere there at the end of the first term, we're going to start asking ourselves questions. Why have we put these children in this particular course? Why have we put these children in this particular course when they were not so good here or there? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You see why I'm crying?
Yes.
Others will cry. Please go ahead.
And it's very unfortunate that if a school for 9 years, they cannot establish where the runner is supposed to head. How is the senior school going to do this in 3 weeks? Yes. Because you had the runner for 9 years. Actually, most of the schools 11 years, including PP1, PP2. You're not able to choose the correct pathway. But you want a senior school to sit down in 3 weeks during the first term and determine the pathway. So meaning now you are placing that to a guesswork, because all these assessments, actually it's not exam, it's assessment. All these assessments have been done to the runner from grade 4 to grade 9. They were supposed to produce some interest and abilities. And unfortunately, this country, like you are saying, things are put under shelf. There was supposed to be a psychometric assessment from the government. It was very clear. It was under the number 3. Number 1 was the runners, schools of choice and tracks and subject combination. Number 2 was their performance. They have performed. There was supposed to be a psychometric assessment to tell them your personality and interest cannot be able to go to this line.
There was supposed to be.
Yes.
That who knew this?
Everyone, including it was on the papers. It was on the papers. Everyone, it was being spoken that there was supposed to be a psychometric assessment, 1 from the NEC and 1 from the school. So meaning school was supposed to do theirs and NEC was supposed to bring 1. So parents were sitting comfortably, waiting for the psychometric assessment to combine with the results to tell you, now we have confirmed from the psychometric assessment with the scientific measure that you can go to STEM to do this. STEM has 314 subject combination. So when you tell me my child can go to STEM, to do which subject combination?
What do you mean?
When I say 314 subject combination, three different subject combination that can take you to different careers.
Right.
So when you tell me now go and choose, you have told me to go and choose from 300 plus.
So did this psychometric assessment happen?
Yes, it did. To some schools, yes.
In some schools.
The private one, the one for the government, no.
Do you remember the thing I said?
Yes.
Whereby the private sector, the private schools are going to take a majority of the responsibility for the decisions that learners are taking because of things like this.
Yes, true.
In public schools, where this psychometric assessment did not take place based on the very thing that you are saying, what are we doing to these kids? Because if there are so many combinations that can be used and we're just saying STEM as a whole, how many parents understand STEM? How many learners understand that STEM is not just science, technology, what is the other
Engineering.
one? Engineering and
Mathematics.
mathematics.
Yes.
It's not just that, but there are other things that are there. So in that thing, you can imagine the tunnel vision that we have right now as parents who will say, you know what, STEM. So my child will either be a doctor, an engineer, an architect, or a pilot. That's it. But do you see what we are doing? It's a disservice. So private schools now will be the ones who will say, okay, because we did the assessment, we can even still do assessment for you. Come. What are we doing to the other side?
Yeah, I believe, baby, I would like to comment regarding to the changes that are going to happen. The first thing parents need to understand is CBC is not about the parents. It's about the child. That's number one. It's the child that makes a choice depending on interest, abilities, and abilities. So the parent is only a guide. So parents should avoid the issue of wanting to leave their failures and achieve them through their children at this stage. Because as we are going towards these changes, the parents will be saying, I want my child to be a doctor, because they failed to become doctors in their time. So then they want to achieve this through their children. Have we lost? Is there something that can be done as it is right now? Yes, there is much that can be done. We still have time. The Ministry of Education has advised that these changes will take place in the course of first term. Those are whole 3 months that children will be given a chance to review their selection, and this selection will be guided revisions. So we are hoping that then the government will provide the right structures where these revisions should be done, so that we can also avoid the same confusion where then parents or teachers are giving children pathways according to their abilities and not to the child's abilities. Because if the teachers are also not given the provide capacity building, it means they are going to provide according to what they know or according to their abilities. Therefore, we are going to run down what CBC truly speaks or stands for.
Was it too hard? Was it too hard? Was there too many? Was it too much? Were there too many students? The process is too difficult. We've never done something like this before. Was it too difficult?
No.
Okay.
Somebody slept on the job, and this is purely the work of the ministry to praise runners. If you ask me, now with the situation we are in it's more confusing than the previous system now, where at grade 8 at least you would know, even you have scored what in exceed expectation, because when you have EE1 you don't know whether it's 90 or 99. So you do not know how high you are or who is ahead of the other. Because I'm asking, if EE1 will go to Alliance, then are we not ranking?
The ranking just is wearing a new dress.
And by the way, I was just asking Rose, why do we take a student who is already doing very well in our normal school to Alliance? Why don't we take the below expectation to Alliance? Because he needs more resources and more time.
Good question.
See, there was an entire presidential working party on education reforms. They went around the whole country. We would have assumed that these are some of the things that would have been considered when we were talking about the decategorization of school and declassification of exams and all of this. We expected that this is what was going to happen, because they did use those big fancy words throughout the report that we read from page to page. And they told us that this is exactly what was going to happen. And that was one of the suggestions what was actually made, that you take a high-performing student and you leave them in what would be a previously categorized school as sub-county, which is unfortunately most of these schools are sub-county schools. You leave them in that school and allow them to be able to continue because they've been able to do it so far. The ones that needed the better resources are the ones that are now approaching expectation, or at that level or below expectations, and then we send them to those high performing schools. Because if the high performing schools, if there's something about them, then you should be able to get anybody at any performance level and bring them up. No?
Yes.
True. I was saying the same. If national school are national schools, let us give them below expectation this time, and let them be number ones again in 3 years' time. If at all they do perform, because we give them the best of the best, then we start saying which school was the best. But they had the best resources, the best everything. So I am thinking maybe with the vision of Singapore, now that we have
we are not.
We're from that. We're from there.
Because I've been comparing, and if you allow me, I would share with you a video of Singapore graduation at grade 9. You hear what they are being told at graduation during grade 9.
Tell us.
because they are being told, parents, I know you want your runners to do very well, but as per the runners who are seated here, there is a musician who does not need mathematics. So parents is very aware. There is a sport person who does not need biology. There is an engineer who does not need literature. Because parents are still worried about things that will not be there. Someone is now looking at, my child is going to do law, but they are saying my child will do STEM. But law is not in STEM. Law is under humanities and business studies.
Yes.
So you do not get worried about, core mathematics and sciences. You concentrate on language, literature, and history, and CRE, because those are the subjects that combination that will take you there. I am believing, seated here, that runners are going to senior school through subject combinations and not the aggregates I've seen there.
You are believing, but it's a lie.
So, Rose,
have it been confirmed it's a lie?
No, but I mean, you're believing, but you've told us that test, psychometric test, did not take place in public schools.
Yes, so the only thing remaining for them to choose from the runner's decision is subject combination.
Okay, I get it. All right.
Because I might be exceeding expectation, but on subject combination, I am beating you. So I should go to Alliance, because students are going to schools through subject combination, the 3 subject combination. And they have said categorically that not more than 15 students in a subject combination can join one school. So they are supposed to look at which subject combination did I choose. So which one amongst the 3 subject combinations, because they were in rows of 3, which one did I perform well? Then pick that one, because I already liked that one. I already had capacity to do that one, because you cannot bring aggregates from primary school, grade 8, grade 9, you bring them now, and you never told me my 40%. Remember, before they did the grade 9, at grade 8, they already had 40% done. They never told us the 40% how it was looking like. They have not shown us the 40% here from the result slip, then the grade 9 here, so that we know, did the child panic during the grade 9 Kijisea? Because the 40% was okay. Yes, so that I can compare as a parent and say, I still believe this child can do well here, because performance cannot tell you which area you are strong in.
So, Rose, I want to look at the psychometric assessment that you talk about, right? That did not happen in public schools, but happened in private schools. But then again, I still combine that with what a parent wants, And in these instances, as we speak, there is the aspect of allowing the child to pick that which suits them best, because it is their life, it is their future, it is their strengths at the end of the day that will determine where it is they go. So, has the system allowed children to make this decision in guidance? Guided with professionals who have understood the entire system, been taken through by the ministry to understand where best the child should be placed? Or have we also allowed other forces, parents, and also a teacher that does not understand to make the decision for the child?
I'll speak for private schools. For private schools, really, most of our institutions have gone out of the way to engage professionals. Most of our private institutions have gone out of their way to engage professionals to provide this guidance. And Mr. Muraya here is one of our professionals that is guiding our private schools to just ensure that they are well guided on what pathways they need to take and what careers these pathways are leading them to. We also have a problem or a challenge in the society currently where there are so many teachers as regards to pathway selection, providing information. And I can say some of them are highway declarations of knowledge. Some of them do not have the real correct knowledge that should be able to guide the learners or the parents on the best way to go around it. Therefore, it brings a lot of confusion in the society or in the country, and it then makes parents start saying that CBC is not working, it is not the best model. Why did we have to leave 844 and go for CBC? Because of so much confusion, or so many people that want to bring in knowledge without the right skills or the right information as regards to what is required. As private schools, yes, we have been able to provide the necessary skills through professionals. We have also set out career centers for our institutions to just ensure that these learners are guided well. And it begins with the subject, the learning in the classroom. If the teacher gets it wrong, the child will definitely be guided wrongly. So what have we done as institutions?
Shouldn't we be really worried about that? Because the majority of Kenya's learners today are in public school.
Yes.
Yes.
And even by your own admission, even in private schools, we have teachers who are guiding these learners wrongly. So you're going to get in 2 weeks to school. There's a selection that will be made. You may end up with a selection that was not yours, or one that was not your choice, or one that is not best suited to you according to your capabilities. Which is what CBC is trying to do. It's a CBE now, a wholesome education that takes into consideration the whole learning spectrum of this child. Now, if that is not exemplified in the career, in the pathway that you choose, why are we bothering? It looks like it will create a mess going forward. Or am I being too alarmist, Joseph?
No. Actually, you are speaking what people fail to say. And it's the reality. We should face the reality, because the reality is that we do not have career and guidance teachers. The career and guidance teachers, even in our senior school, are CRE teachers.
Or the PE teacher, or
the
some
PE teacher.
librarian.
So when you are telling me that we have been given one term 1 in senior school, but we had 9 years, including the parent, the pastor, the teacher, the guardians, they were not able to select. But now here I have 1,000 students. I'm supposed to change their careers in one term, and I have classes and I have that.
Yes.
So first of all, can we invest in career guidance? Can we even vet these people who are doing it? Because we have a lot of teachers coming for us for training. Can we understand what is psychometric assessment? Assuming psychometric assessment is administered now in senior school term 1. Assuming the government releases it. Who will explain what does it mean to be realistic? You remember those things that were saying, the RIASEC, the investigative, the what? I don't know. Why was the government saying there shall be a psychometric assessment when it was not going to be there? So students sat freely knowing that there shall be. Government have said, and when the government says, it is going to do. So we are looking at a situation whereby we are pushing these runners into a forest. Sorry to say. Because first of all, the senior school teachers are trying to catch up with the curriculum designs. They are trying to be trained. They have not been fully trained. You had TSC. And again, the teachers guiding the junior school, they are on internship. So they are still looking for other places where they can get employed permanently. So they are not fixated on that. So when I am not fixated, I am not in permanent, I don't know my fate, how am I supposed to know the other people's fate? Because I'm supposed to be comfortable in a good environment so that now I can provide sound judgment and advice to the runners.
So Joseph, you mentioned in terms of the teachers who come to you for assistance, training pretty much on guidance on how best to handle these issues, right, Rose? Now here is a question where now, if we talk about teachers being prepared, because there was the subject of let's retool teachers to make them ready for the students when they come and everything, right? And we also know how difficult that was based on investment, because it was a question of a teacher to pay for themselves. There was an entire debate. The government decided finally we'll pay for them. But have we changed the software from teacher training colleges in terms of curriculum that is injected into these teachers to understand what is to come when it comes to CBE? Because at the end of the day, we will sit and say we will retool them sour, but the core foundation of their studies, if it never changed, I'm sorry, but there's nothing you're doing. You're really spending unnecessary resources, yet you ought just to have changed it from back then. And there is the aspect as well of, if we do not have teachers who are guiding these students very well, or we are struggling with the numbers, what exactly are we doing to the entire curriculum and the students who will graduate at the end? Are we just playing ping pong, hide and seek, avoiding the necessary truths for us to fix the system?
Probably I would say that education is a journey. And education, some of the learning areas are probably influenced by demand and supply. And why do I say demand and supply? In 844, some of the subjects that are being taught at the moment, especially in the technical studies, most people taught as subjects that are not very worthy to be taken. Therefore, we did not get most people getting into colleges to take up these courses. Look at, for example, fisheries. Not many people consider fisheries as a career that one will take. So a word of hope probably to the parents out there is that all is not lost. As of now, all is not lost. Once the curve stabilizes, probably in a year's time, we expect that some of these careers, teachers will take up these careers in the technical colleges. And for us to also be able to fill in this gap, because we only have 3 weeks, and the children will settle in. Some of these subjects do not have teachers. Look at Mandarin, look at aviation, look at fisheries, look at metalwork, woodwork. Can we really pinpoint this is a person that is responsible for teaching woodwork, electrical engineering? So what is our suggestion, or my personal suggestion to the Ministry of Education or the TSC? We already have TVETs who are good in these spaces. Can we then take them up so that they can be given pedagogy, probably for 2 or 3 weeks or 3 months as they come into the learning system, the teaching system? The physics teachers can support on the technical area and especially on the oral aspect. Then the TVETs can take up the practical aspects. The only issue that has always been when we have this conversation is certification. It's a policy issue. But who comes up with policy? And what if the policy is not working? Can we readjust the policy to suit what exactly is required? The demand requires that these teachers are instituted in our institutions, because we will realize that some of these careers then will not be taken up because we are lacking the right guidance and the right teachers to take up these responsibilities. Can then TST reconsider providing certification to some of these TVETs students to take up some of the learning areas in the senior school? Probably we'll be able then to close up on this gap. Again, the reason why we shouldn't worry is on the area of the technical teachers, especially the physics teachers. I rely on the physics teachers because they can teach a wide spectrum. We have 3 or a whole year ahead of us. These teachers can also be taken through retooling and go to these colleges and take up certification so that they can shift into the technical subjects. What I discourage is the issue of government having a retooling where a large group of teachers come in, probably 1,000, retooled for 1 day, and then we just mark it on paper that retooling has taken place. But really, who goes back and checks? Was this effective? Was this retooling done effectively? And what will it be? And how will it translate to the wellness of a child in a classroom? That is what we should discourage.
Okay. The resource, one of the issues that comes up with all of this is a resource issue, that we're parents and learners coming together to then go to school. These are the grade 9s that we're talking about now to be grade 10s. But across the country, we know right now that STEM is the most, it's the most highly selected pathway at the moment, right? Whether that will change as things settle down later, we don't know. But for now, I have to remember what the percentage was of that which was selected, but STEM is the highest. Now, we think of that immediately, and your sciences are there. And in terms of the schools that then need the equipment to run with this, we remember when we went to junior school, and we were told that one of the problems with coming into junior school was that not everybody had the equipment that was required, especially in the sciences. Does this change now? Suddenly, because they're going to grade 10, do we now have all the equipment that we need in those labs, the laboratories for the chemistries and the biologies? Do we have everything that we need? Are we well equipped?
We might have the laboratory for physics, chemistry, and all that. But do we have the home science labs, the kitchens? Are they equipped? Do we have the arts, and where they are supposed to be recording and editing, because they are supposed to be doing it as a competence? Do we have the sports facilities, because they were saying you are supposed to have an international equivalent pitch? So how many schools in Nairobi have such kind of a pitch? So we are looking at so many talents that are going to be lost.
No, but this is important.
Yeah.
Because we cannot talk about pathways whereby you will not practice towards competency if the very equipment that you require for that to happen doesn't exist. And this is at the core of why we say we fail. not because we want to be negative, but we cannot say that this is the direction that we're going if we don't have the building blocks for it. You can't say that you're training somebody in a particular pathway towards sports medicine, for example.
Yes.
Whereby that some of these things that you don't have. If you're looking at which includes sports medicine, which includes the biology part of it, it also includes nutrition. We look at sports doctors today who are insistent on nutrition and your physiological makeup and all of that without the necessary lab that you're talking about. Then what are we doing? That at the end of the tunnel is that we have half-baked students because we didn't have the requirement. Wouldn't we rather say we are not offering this thing because we don't have the equipment that we need? Is that too scary a thing to admit?
I think education is expensive. This is what I always say. Education is expensive, and any nation that is serious about its citizens should be intentional about education. If we are prioritizing or want to realize national transformation, we have to ensure that our heavy investment goes to education. And this investment should be strategic, not just investing, but strategic investment. Is it all lost? I love giving hope. Is it all lost? The outcry in the public outcry is we do not have laboratories, we do not have this, we do not have this. But the public needs to understand that STEM, for example, or some of this pathway may not require a laboratory. Some of them may not require a computer lab, depending on a track, like Mr. Muraya has mentioned, depending on a track. For example, if you're doing aviation, what is a laboratory for? You know?
But there's something that you need for aviation. Does it exist is the question.
I would say most or some of the institutions do not have not met these requirements. That's why the government has to be intentional about funding their correct, right funding, strategic funding to its public schools.
Rosa,
yes.
There's this thing called capitation. Okay? In 2025, this year that we are currently in, the government still owes schools money for capitation from term 1, term 2, and term 3. This would be the same set that we are asking now to fund institutions so that they can carry out the pathways. Do you see where my pain point is here? And I'm asking, do we need to do it if we don't have the wherewithal? Wouldn't we rather do one thing right with what we have from end to end than to be ambitious with something that we can't? Look, it's not even being aspirational. It's the truth that it can't be done right now because there is no money for it. You've said it. We have to be intentional about the spend because it is necessary for it to be done. So rather than offer it at a lesser of a percentage, you'd rather not. Anything worth being done is worth being done right. If we can't do it right, and these are children's lives, they're still in the formative years.
Yeah.
And then we want to tinker about with excellence, there's a problem.
I believe as a country, education is budgeted for. And when we say disbursement of these funds, I believe that it all borders management of these funds. Not that the country does not have the funds. It just borders management. How are these funds managed? Again, as the CBC currently, we cannot fund it to the same model that we funded traditionally because CBC requires a lot. We need extra laboratories, we need workshops, we need libraries, we need studios. So the traditional way of funding our CBC will not work completely. And some of these schools in the rural areas, for example, they need a facelift, an uplift. This calls for a heightened level of investment, which the government, as I say, should be very much intentional. Look back on what has not been working and ensure to correct their mess and to align.
You know, when you talk about the pain points, when it comes to the implementation of the CBE, we talk about internationally recognized infrastructure. Say you are into sports, right? So that means you need to be competing pretty much. A student here needs to be using the same track that one would say a younger Shellyan Fraser would be using in the United States for them to compete on the same level. Because at the end of the day, individuals that we want to shun out into the industry or into the market are those that are able to compete globally. We don't just we just stop thinking Kenyan, we start thinking globally. But we look at our investment political rhetoric that continues to go out there, the investment into the same capitation that we have a problem with. And one asks the question, the entire implementation of CBE was more of a political statement other than an intentional change into an education system that would benefit the students and children of the country. Why do I say that? Because we talk about we will build classrooms in every other school across the country and we shall hasten it, right? Sawa. But I want to get into welding. That means I need a workshop. You know, I do not care about biology or chemistry. I just want to get a welder. I want to get the welding wire. I want to get the mask, and that's all that I need, right? But I choose that pathway and realize, Allah, where I've been placed, welding is a pipe dream. Did we think about the infrastructure socially to help education a reality, or was it just a political statement because it is here? And how has that affected the implementation of CBE?
First, this change was coming because of the Constitution of Kenya 2010. The Vision 2030 would not have been achieved with the previous system of education that we had that was more theory and exam oriented. So we needed a system that was coming to bridge the gap between the academia and the labor market, because there is a lot of mismatch between the two. So we needed a system whereby even it doesn't matter which level of education you drop at, whether at TVET, whether at grade 12, but you have a skill that you can be able to employ or deploy. Therefore, 9 years down the line, we don't have a strategic document of funding these resources. Right now is the time we are trying to advise the government to use TVET, and they know TVET exists. So I am seeing a deliberate action from my side, and I'm speaking now from the side of the parent, because I'm with the parents every day. I'm seeing a deliberate action by the government to let education slide because they think there is too much unemployment. That's what parents are saying. There's too much unemployment, so can we let the education slide a bit as we sort out the Gen Z unemployment? And now that's how the Singapore dream is coming in. How did Singapore bring in the issue of unemployment? They had a lot of unemployment. I've told you, I've been speaking about Singapore from 2023. That Singapore came here in 1976, borrowed a loan from Mzee Jomo Kenyatta to go and start their own assembly. They also borrowed the education system from Kenya, but they changed the competition to creativity and innovation. That's where we are borrowing our competencies from. Right now, I would want you to go out there, ask any grade 9, which competence have you acquired? Let's not talk about competencies like it's a word. It's something that they're supposed to feel about.
What can you do?
Yes, ask them. Including digital literacy. Ask them, because digital literacy is one of the things that you have been taught about. What can you do with the internet? What can you do? Can you research? Can you be able to do something that is creative? If you are going to creative industry, have you been shown how to do content creation at that level? Because remember, we are talking about students who have been in 3 years doing exploration. What is exploration? You decide, you start running to run. That you can research on your own knowledge, you can have self-knowledge management. They were supposed to have gone for job shadowing at grade 8. What's job shadowing? I want to be a doctor. So I'm supposed to go to a hospital for 2 weeks, only 2 hours, to see what the surgeon does. So that I can realize, do I really want this pathway, or am I just gifted? I'm an intelligent child, so I score exceeding expectation.
Excuse me, please. I'm just asking, this is not just something you are imagining that could have been an idea. This job shadowing was supposed to have happened?
Yes.
Did it?
In private schools, yes, it's happening.
In private schools are now outshining.
You see, everything is within the curriculum design.
Job shadowing in grade 8.
Yes.
They've been in grade 9 for a year.
Yes.
They didn't do it.
Yes.
No.
Why?
So whose mistake? This mistake is not the parent.
Someone not aware that they were not even supposed to do it.
This mistake now goes to the interpretation of the design, because here we have TSC. They are supposed to tell us what are they even doing, because there is what we call the prescribed curriculum. There is the experience curriculum in classroom, and there is the achieved curriculum. So what did we achieve from the prescribed? That's what we should be asking the country. We prescribed this, what have we achieved? Because honestly speaking, if you ask me, the people going to technical areas, I pity them, because which practical did they do for them to qualify to go to technical areas? Because there was supposed to be a technical assessment. What can you be able to do? Just like the way we did in nutrition, they were preparing chicken and all those things. You're supposed also to prepare something so that we can see. There was crocheting in home and steel. So
assemble a stool.
A sports person, by the way. Do you remember NEC circulating a letter even after the assessment were going on, and they were saying, please nominate any runner in sports and arts. And they were saying, put the certificate, put the medal they achieved. The portal is there for doing that. No school was able to put that because we are forgetting that there was supposed to be a portfolio. Do you remember the portfolio? I know your parents. Do you have your portfolio? Because that is the evidence base
of all the things that we've did, of all things that we've done, the volcanoes that we've built, and the using locally available materials to make the solar system. Yes.
So that is the evidence that is going to be carried home, and that's what we need to realize. In STEM, we are going to do what? Because the portfolio is supposed to be there. So that's why, as I said, like Central Career, we are going to digitize that portfolio, where you can take a video of your child, you can archive it there. It's only you and the school who can access it. Then you can upload the certificate, you can upload your medals, you can even showcase your talents there, so that by the time we are going to grade 9, then you can be able to download and say, wait, let me download from this portfolio, let me see what have I been doing. And you are supposed to prove, because remember, Atel said that we are preparing a global citizen.
Yes.
So a global citizen is supposed to showcase what they have been able to achieve. Yes, if you are a footballer, you are supposed to say, when I was in grade 2, these are the medals that I got. I was a captain at grade 5. I won the...
Because all of these things should happen in a continuum.
Yes. Yeah.
We're saying in order for you to get to a pathway in grade 10, it is the sum of all these experiences that you've had from grade 3.
Yes.
That's why it's competency-based and it's an education, not just a curriculum. It's through and through. So that by the time I'm selecting a pathway, I would have done psychometric test. I would have done job shadowing.
Community service.
Community service.
You see now?
So Rose,
remember at grade 3, we went and cleaned all the markets.
I remember that one. We cleaned markets. We bought boots. I remember. We did.
So that was supposed to tell us that this runner can showcase something. And they're saying again, at grade 12, they will do a project, one on their own and one as a group. But remember, even now, we have been doing projects, and I know they have been archived somewhere through the NEC system. So they're supposed to release those and tell you, hey, check STEM, the projects you did with your runner. This is how
they perform.
They have been scored. Check the ones that you did in arts. This is how they have been scored. Now make your own decision from the information you have. Because we are talking about data-driven decision making.
I believe, just like he said, I don't think CBC was a political pronunciation. I know CBC, for the first time, then a child gets to just bring out their skills and their abilities. The only thing, as he has mentioned, that is just the management of the process. The system is a very good system. Again, it exposes our learners to the global space. The management bit is the problem. And with CBC, we're not inventing the wheel. Some of the things that we are learning, especially I will consider on the STEM, they have already been there. The classrooms are there. The teachers are there. Because when we're looking at STEM, the pure science, it is physics, biology, mathematics. This has always been there traditionally. So the only thing we need to look at as a nation is how then do we tweak it to ensure that it aligns with what CBC or pathway learning really requires.
Where are parents to get this information? Because clearly the students are not giving it. So I'm thinking about the current grade 8s. The grade 8s right now, who should be doing this psychometric test? And who should be doing job shadowing?
But after doing psychometric.
After doing psychometric, then the grade 9s who should be doing it. I bet you today that many of these parents have no idea that these things are supposed to be happening. Some teachers also, private schools, you guys are on a pedestal here. The people, even teachers who have no idea that this thing is supposed to be happening, where are they supposed to get this information?
Leave alone even the information on the psychometric and everything. I will just pose a question. Which parent even knows which school would offer what pathway at the moment, at the click of a finger. If you were to ask a parent which school would be offering, for example, marine aviation fisheries, do we know? So I think also the government or the stakeholders.
They have listed 68 schools across the country.
Across the country.
They are the one offering marine and fisheries.
Can they be able to
aviation.
cater for all that there is in the public?
I was just reading this morning.
So the government should also be intentional about providing data to ensure that the public is well informed.
And those schools, nobody who is below meeting expectation can go there.
Sorry?
Nobody who is meeting below expectation can go there, because remember, there is the availability of spaces in those schools.
Okay.
So you've
if
just
you
said,
approach
sorry, Joe, you said there's 68 schools in the country. This is just one.
Yeah.
What did you call it again?
Marine.
Marine and aviation.
No, you said it's a combination
of marine
it's
aviation.
a subject on track,
It's a
on
subject,
technical
a
track.
track. That's the word I was looking for. So this marine fisheries, if you selected it, for example, that particular track, if you knew that this is the one I need to go for, if I want to be this later, that there are only 68 schools in the country that are offering it. And if you're below expectations, you cannot go to any one of those schools if you selected that track.
Yes, because the competition will be very high. And there was some time they had said the first come, first serve, because according to me, and I've been saying, in Kenyatta National Hospital, not everybody who is working there got an A. Maybe the surgeon who's got A's, but the nurses, C+, nutritionist, C+, ambulance driver, who even cares what they got, provided they have the courage enough in the opposite direction and risk your life to save one.
Good Lord.
So, why are you telling me my below expectation cannot join medicine? I've not said they want to be a surgeon. They like people, they like serving, they have a heart, they feel for the good of the people. So they are supposed to be there, either cleaning, chefs. They're supposed to be in that area because that's where they belong. And that's what I thought, that in Alliance, we are going to have a class where we are having a nutritionist, a surgeon, because all the same, they are going to work in the same industry.
The same industry, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. The last question that we want to ask, because of time now, because now we have said 3 weeks.
And by the way, psychometric is there. We designed one for the public school. It is in Play Store. It's called Pathway Tool. It is in Play Store for 500. And doing is completely free. Downloading reports is where you pay. So meaning every parent can do. It is in Play Store. We did all the work.
If anything is clear at 10 o'clock this morning, is that there's still going to be a lot of confusion in the next 3 weeks in terms of who's going to do what and what you should. There are going to be demands on learners that where is this in order for me to change for you. Meanwhile, they were none the wiser in terms of what needed to be done in order to reach that. It's unfair that we're now subjecting them to a particular requirement whereby there was no public information about what they needed to have done prior to that. And that's the problem. Again, the mismanagement of the system or of a process which otherwise would work beautifully. This is our problem. And now we're subjecting 1 million learners to this. Whichever sector they go into, we're subjecting them to this.
The people given those dockets, including in the ministries, in TSC, do you believe they were born to do that job? Because that's another mismatch.
Oi, now you
Maybe
see
they landed
the
there
problem
by
is that
chance.
it's 10 o'clock.
Yes.
And if we start going there...
I think the government is currently preparing the guidelines on placement, and this should be out.
You can't be preparing the guidelines on placement when placement is happening.
Okay, sorry. The placement will actually be announced on what processes will.
By the way, they are there. They listed the processes very well.
Yes.
Everybody expects that we are going through the senior school through subject combinations and tracks. It's very clear. Anything out of that, it's their own another system, because every time we hear breaking news, we are doing this, tomorrow we are doing this, there's no consistency with information and how plans are being rolled out. I think we need series of this.
Dennis is tired.
You said it's all about management.
Yes.
Bad management leads to bad jijazie.
But remember, this is the future of Kenya.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
And
the
that's
future of Kenya that we are destroying. 1.1 million learners. We're talking about 1.1 million learners.
That's the problem. Our time is up, folks, but we need to continue this conversation really quickly in 10 seconds, Rose.
Thank you. What I wish to let the public know is that with CBC, with the current results, no child should be stigmatized. That because I didn't meet expectation or I'm below expectation, then I am not supposed to go or be probably provided with a school or be settled in a certain school. So for private schools, we are intentional to ensure that every child settles in a learning in a school confidently, in a pathway confidently, without stigma.
Joseph Murai is the CEO of Central Careers, and Rose Okaya Eteye is the CEO, Kenya Private Schools Association. Boss, if anything, one of the things that we need to do is pray, because as we are things right now, we need to, some divine intervention needs to happen before the 6th of January, going in towards the 14th of January, when these children will be in school. Thank you for keeping it to the Situation Room this morning. And even as you go, I have to remind you that there's a way to make money even as you spend. You want to do this with your KCB winning card. KCB has a card for everybody, by the way. Are you a young professional, a busy family member, or a high net worth individual? KCB has you covered. They offer a full suite of credit, debit, and prepaid cards, partnered with the biggest global names, MasterCard, Visa, and Union Pay. So that's global acceptance right in your wallet. Stop fumbling with cash. Get the future and be secure. Get the secure, flexible power of a KCB card and dominate your spending. Whether you're managing a corporate account or just paying for coffee, KCB cards, your card, your way. At 4 minutes past 10. Good morning.
The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
Good morning. This is the Newswire. I'm Leah Ubaga. More than 1,500 mothers, most of them widows in Kapo